what she has to say. Safin, as we're pitching camp here at the Bomas of Kenya, as we wait for His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga to formally unveil the BBI report, we are also monitoring on legislation. Who is being represented right now, being joined by North Member of Parliament, Ole Kenta, to tell us why he's here. Do you think the Maa community will benefit from the BBI report?
So we actually appreciate the executive and also appreciating the fact that we are going back to the people's being leaders of government. Because when we have people from become the president, that's when the story ends. Because we are giving people back, yet they don't. So we are actually handing over to people who do not represent. So when we bring the cabinet, then I think that's a really significant price. Even as because you expect to get the ministers from within our different leaders. These are the people who are ready, that the people who really represent us. And to not just somebody picked from nowhere by the way. That is one of the biggest failures of this program. And I don't think it is.
Mheshimiwa, what are the amendments that you think should be made in this BBI report? First of all, you should also consider that the taxpayer will have to pay more for us to be able to have these leaders in these positions that have been created in the BBI report.
I don't think that is a position because when you look at it, we just not clearly expanded the service. We have just added maybe one or two positions, but we have not, expanded the employees of the government. These are just two or three figures.
Asante sana kwa wimbo huo naipenda Kenya.
Remains the same.
Muungano wa kwaya yetu na bendi yetu, wimbo wa tatu Luo medley.
Then we are achieving nothing. So what I will say is that a lot of money is being siphoned through looting, through other things. We should actually kind of fill this loopholes where we are losing money and put this money in better use. And one of them is government leadership. So I think we are not clear on this. I think it's better we have this than we have money to consider the thing. So the sake of so I think it's important that we include more Kenyans in leadership without necessarily looking at what goes on.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. That is Boitalel Ole Kenta, the Member of Parliament for North constituency, and he's representing the Maa community, and he'll be making his way to the auditorium where His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga will be gracing the event. There are a number of Kenyans who would want to share their sentiments. As I mentioned earlier, Safin, there are two sections here at the Bomas of Kenya. There is the auditorium where legislators, members of parliament, governors, MCAs, and also invited guests are seen His Excellency former Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero making his way to the auditorium. And also there is this other side where we are having Kenyans. They have pitched up tents, and this is where Kenyans will be monitoring the events from social distancing. I would say it has not been keenly monitored. That is from the observation from where I stand. I think the into that later on. Right now, I'm being joined with one of the Kenyans. Kindly introduce your name na mtamemoni yako.
Tuelekezwe kwa heshima kupitia Mheshimiwa Rais. Tuondoke hapo juu kwa heshima. Wale tumesimama pale juu tusonge vile tunaelekezwa. Tuelekezwe kwa heshima, hiyo ni njia ya Mheshimiwa Rais. Tuondoke hapo juu kwa heshima.
Thank you. Safin, there are varied reactions from these events, and we are here to see how events will be unfolding. Yes, still about the protocols in line with the COVID-19 prevention measures. Yeah, those who are having the masks, and I would say 90% of Kenyans that have observed today from this and are having their masks properly and covering their mouth and nose. But our greatest concern will be social distancing at the tent from where I stand. If my cameraman will be able to get you those pictures, there is no social distancing. But as you walk in, you see you'll be required to have your temperatures checked. You have to sanitize and also have an invitation for you to be able to pass through the gates here of the Bomas of Kenya. And not everyone will be able to make his way to the auditorium. As I mentioned earlier, only those invited guests will be at the auditorium. This is where legislators are making their way from. They are not allowed to move in to the auditorium entrance with their cars. And only His Excellency and Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i was allowed to make his way. So diplomats have seen them making their way to the auditorium, and His Excellency former Prime Minister Raila Odinga has also made his way to the auditorium. The greatest concern is whether His Excellency Deputy President William Ruto will make his way in
Tuwapigie makofi wanapoendelea. Asante sana Director of Music, asante sana Central Choir na Safari Voices International. We could continue with one other
Kenya
song.
was unveiling the 2010 Constitution after changing the 1963 Constitution, and we'll be keeping a close eye to see whether His Excellency Deputy President will be making his way here. He has been at the fore opposing the recommendations in the BBI report, and
Asante sana, tuwapigie makofi tena wakati wanaendelea. Na wakati wanabendi wanapumua kidogo. State House Choir, can you take us to the Coast Region of Kenya? One song from the Coast Region. And after that, we will go to the Eastern Region of Kenya. Haya, twende, kazi kwenu mwalimu. Asante. Mwalimu kwa haraka kidogo. Na wakati wanaendelea kujitayarisha, niwakumbushe tu nilivyoomba, that I will do all the protocols, na yule atasimama kuongea, Mheshimiwa Rais, mabibi na mabwana, is protocol enough for each of the speakers. Thank you. Mwalimu, time, tuendelee.
nenie masya nyumba yitu ni yathela ini mubango wanga ikwito withia wa museo maundu meotia
Glovo is the app that brings you anything you want, and here's why people choose it.
Any food you can think of is on this app. Chicken, burger, local food, you name it.
I'd say any restaurant that's not on Glovo does not exist.
I do my shopping with a click and it's delivered in minutes.
You can get all kinds of drinks. It's getting a sip without the trip.
They deliver anything. I even got my gas delivered.
Easy peasy.
From food to groceries to anything you want, order Glovo and we'll deliver in minutes.
Wa Kenya, nchi yenye baraka. Kenya, nchi yenye baraka. Kenya, nchi yenye baraka. Kenya maka yetu ni nchi ya usalama, kamwe hatutaiacha. Kamwe Kenya hatutaiacha. Anayependa Kenya ni yule mwenye kutenda haki kwa watu wote. Mtu mwenye kutenda haki. Mtu mwenye kutenda haki. Na ukipenda hatutaacha Kenya daima na milele. Kenya kweli hatutaiacha milele daima. Oh Kenya, Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima. Wananchi wa Kenya natumikia Kenya daima na milele. Kenya, Kenya kipenzi chetu, kweli hatutaiacha milele daima. Kenya, Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima. Sitaiacha Kenya nchi yangu, mimi ni mwana Kenya daima. Na nikienda ng'ambo nitarudi. Nitadanganywa kamwe na wageni, mimi ni mwana Kenya daima. Wala sitapotoshwa na wabaya, mimi ni mwana Kenya daima. Wenzangu, Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima. Kenya, Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima. Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima. Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima. Tushangilie Kenya yenye baraka. Kenya makao yetu ni nchi ya usalama, kamwe hatutaiacha. Kamwe Kenya hatutaiacha. Kamwe Kenya hatutaiacha. Anayependa Kenya ni yule mwenye kutenda haki kwa watu wote. Mtu mwenye kutenda haki. Mtu mwenye kutenda haki. Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima. Kenya, Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima.
Na kwa kweli Kenya kipenzi chetu hatutaiacha kamwe daima. Wanakwaya ndivyo wanatueleza, na tukumbuke pia nchi yangu jukumu langu, mimi ni shujaa. My country, my responsibility, I am a hero. DJ, wimbo wa shujaa.
Simama Wakenya wote, simama. Simama wewe shujaa, simama. Nchi yangu, jukumu langu, mimi ni shujaa, shujaa. Najivunia taifa langu, mimi ni shujaa, shujaa. Simama Wakenya wote, simama.
Unaweza ukacheza, unaweza kuungana nao na tukaimba kwa pamoja.
Simama Wakenya wote, simama. Simama wewe shujaa, simama.
Kenya yetu ni beautiful, mazingira mazuri, colorful. Kwa Kenya ni watu wonderful, proud to be Kenyan and grateful. Moto wetu ndio nguvu yetu, ni nguvu yetu. Tuheshimu marafiki wa nchi yetu,
amani yetu. Na kwa umoja tuungane, tusonge kwa pamoja. Tumetoka mbali, tunaenda mbali, sote kwa pamoja. Jukumu langu, mimi ni shujaa, shujaa. Najivunia taifa langu, mimi ni shujaa, shujaa. Simama Wakenya wote, simama. Simama, simama wewe shujaa, simama. Simama Wakenya wote, simama. Simama wewe shujaa, simama.
kujituma, kuchapa kazi plus na bidii, tunapambana sana kuijenga jamii. Iwe ni jua kali hatujali, Kenya ni nyumbani na sihami.
Bidii yangu, jukumu langu, naijenga nchi yangu. Hatuchagui kazi, kazi ni kazi. Boda boda, vijana mitaani.
Kenya yetu ya amani na umoja, upendo, hakuna lingine. Acha Mungu atulinde, atuzingire, tuhifadhi milele.
Nchi yangu, jukumu langu,
mbio, tumkaribishe Mheshimiwa Rais kwa makofi. Sote tusimame, tumkaribishe Mheshimiwa Rais. Karibu sana Mheshimiwa Rais. Asante sana, karibu sana Mheshimiwa Rais, na niombe sasa sote kwa pamoja tuimbe wimbo wa taifa wa Jamhuri ya Kenya na wimbo wa Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. We thank and praise you, Lord, the sustainer, the cherisher. We thank you for guiding us to this day and time. Ya Allah, today we put into your hands this noble journey of reforms and transformation of our nation. We pray that you guide us to what is best in this document, and may it be the reason for our country to unite and remain cohesive. Lord, forgive us our errors, and we also ask you, dear Lord, to overlook our humanly shortcomings. Ya Allah, we ask you to be pleased with what we do today, with what we do tomorrow, and with what we do every day. Lord, as we read this document for ourselves, we ask for your guidance, we ask for your patience, and we also ask for your tolerance. Help the common citizens of this country. Help them to objectively understand its contents. Dear God, we pray for your support to our leaders, and especially to our president. May you continue giving him wisdom so that he can continue leading us cohesively. May you guide him to lead us into a cohesive, a healthy, and a prosperous nation. We pray, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Amen.
Bishop.
Heavenly Father, we are gathered here as a nation and as a people who have every reason to say thank you, Lord. For this far you have brought us as independent Kenya, managing the affairs of this nation the best way we can. We are also conscious that we are not devoid of challenges and moments where we have to reimagine ourselves and rethink again. And today presents such an opportunity when we are gathered here to reimagine how we are going to govern and rule ourselves and continue to ensure that resources are well distributed to every corner of this country, and all of us shall be able to enjoy a nation which we can say we are proud to be a part of. So, Lord, as we come through this conversation, talking about our national ethos, the way in which we can be able to protect ourselves and live harmoniously every corner of this nation, Lord, we want to thank you. Give us this moment It's a moment of reimagining a new nation, a nation that is going to prosper the weak and the strong, a nation for us all. So, Lord, may you guide us, led by our president and all those who are gathered here today, and particularly the team that has been working on this document, that we can all have the clarity that we require so that we make informed decisions after looking at it in depth. Lord, guide us as we begin this conversation, going forward as a nation. Give us the best opportunity to live in peace and in harmony. This is our prayer. In the name of God the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Mheshimiwa Rais, mabibi na mabwana, tafadhali na tuketi. Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya na Amiri Jeshi Mkuu wa Majeshi ya Ulinzi, Naibu wa Rais Mheshimiwa Daktari William Ruto, Spika wa Bunge la Kitaifa na Bunge la Senate, Jaji Mkuu na Rais wa Mahakama ya Juu, aliyekuwa Waziri Mkuu Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga, mabalozi na maafisa wakuu wa kidiplomasia, wananchi wa Jamhuri tupadayo, mabibi na mabwana. Mheshimiwa Rais, naomba ruhusa yako niweze kumwita mwimbaji Rafton atuletee wimbo Mungu Baba Twaomba kwa dakika 2. Rafton, asante. Karibu.
Asante. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Wakenya mpo? Rais na pia Prime Minister na naibu wa rais, nasema ni asante, na ningeomba tafadhali tusimame tukiimba Mungu Baba Twaomba. Tuko tayari? Mungu Baba Twaomba. Father God, I thank you. Father God, I bless you. For there is no God like you. Oh! Haya, tuimbe ni kama tunataka Kenya iwe na umoja. Mungu Baba Twaomba. Everyone. Wanna better listen, me say.
Asante sana Rafton, asante sana sote na tuketi. Kwa kweli Mungu Baba twaomba uilinde nchi yetu, tuishi kwa upendo. Kwa heshima Mheshimiwa Rais, naomba tuelekeze macho yetu kwenye runinga kwa makala mafupi yafuatayo.
tunafaidika biashara.
Wewe na hiyo udaku yako umesikia wapi?
Hata usiongee ripoti kwa BBI.
Wacha hata sisi wa mama Raudi tufaidike. Tumeteseka sana.
Jisomee. Buda, wewe BBI nini?
BBI hata sitambui.
Na constitution?
Constitution sitambui, kitu ni ya masosa. Hao wanasiasa wataka sijui jiongezee mavyeo, madoa jiongezee.
Mimi na watu BBI ni bora bidii endelee.
Hiyo ni BBI yetu tukigae tusaidie hapa.
Wachana na story yao wasi. Jisomee.
Jisomee. Jisomee.
Jisomee.
Jisomee. Jisomee.
We jisomee.
Usitegemee unachosikia. Jisomee. BBI report itatekeleza mikakati ya kuboresha maisha ya Wakenya wote.
Jisomee.
Wanawake tusonge mbele. Hata vijana wajisomee.
Amjui. Na mmesikia Raundi tunafaidika biashara.
Wewe na hiyo udaku yako umesikia wapi?
Hata usiongee ripoti kwa BBI.
Wacha hata sisi wa mama Raundi tufaidike. Tumeteseka sana.
Jisomee. Buda, wewe BBI nini?
BBI hata sitambui.
Na constitution?
Usitegemee unachosikia. Jisomee. BBI report itatekeleza mikakati ya kuboresha maisha ya Wakenya wote.
Jisomee, na kwa kweli hata mimi nitajisomea. Kwa heshima Mheshimiwa Rais, naomba uniruhusu nimwalike naibu mwenyekiti wa kamati ya utendaji ya BBI, Professor Adams Olo, aseme kwa kifupi. Professor, karibu.
Your Excellency, the President, the Deputy President, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, all protocols observed. Your Excellency, it's been more than 2 years since you and the Right Honorable Prime Minister unveiled the Building Bridges Initiative. And today, just like last week, that baby is born. That baby is alive and kicking. That baby's parents are okay. Your Excellency, let me just ask the task force members, steering committee, who became steering committee members, to just stand where they are so that the congregation acknowledges them. They are together with the joint secretaries there. Your Excellency, we also did work with a team of experts. Wherever they are, some of them will be presenting. Let them also just stand up so that the congregation acknowledges. Your Excellency, we also had a very youthful and vibrant secretariat that worked with us throughout. If they can also just stand up wherever they are so that the congregation can acknowledge. Your Excellency, more than 2 years ago, when the task force was put in place, through a gazette notice, we went about our task and we went to all the 47 counties. In our going to those 47 counties, we ensured that all the 290 constituencies were represented in the deliberation. The executive component appeared, the judiciary component appeared, the parliament component appeared. In addition, constitutional commissions appeared. Trade unions appeared, whether COTU, NAD, the health sector. We also had civil society groups appearing. We had experts appearing. Meetings, we had stakeholders inviting us and asking us to send experts all over the country to go and listen to their views, which we did in town hall meetings through our experts. We also, again during this stage, Your Excellency, as is reflected in our report, received memorandums via email and physically. Your Excellency, great nations usually look in the mirror when they are at war with themselves. Your Excellency, in your wisdom and the Prime Minister, you said that this country had been at war with itself, and that this was a critical juncture that the country needed to soul search in order to once and for all weave a national fabric that will be there for generations to come. Your Excellency, our report is multifaceted. We have a constitutional section, we have a statutory legislative section, we have a policy guide section, and we have an administrative section. Your Excellency, there are those who have always said that implement. We have done that by providing those administrative actions that need to be taken. As I finalize, Your Excellency, our report has both the hardware and the software. Part of our challenge is also our attitudes and behavior as a people. If, as the Archbishop of the Anglican Church said, we can build on our national ethos as a country and seek this opportunity as an avenue for a national conversation where we are talking with each other, but not at each other, Kenya shall be the better. God bless Kenya. Thank you.
Asante sana Profesa. Kwa heshima Mheshimiwa Rais, naomba unikubalie nimwalike wakili Tom Macharia na mtaalamu wa masuala ya uongozi Bwana Pandi Onyango watueleze kwa kifupi yale yaliyomo kwenye hii report. Wakili.
Your Excellency the President, Your Excellency the Deputy President, Your Excellency the Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen. The steering committee heard from Kenyans that no nation can prosper or thrive without a binding set of values which they called national ethos. And therefore they recommend to you, Kenyans, a philosophy which they called Utu, which is an emphasis on our common humanity in nation building rather than the common enemy identity politics that have sometimes divided us over the last 5 years. They have provided you with a set of policy doctrines and guides that you're to discuss as a basis for future policy formulation in this country. They've also included in the bill, in the proposed constitutional bill, an article on responsibilities that every Kenyan can look to cultivate national unity on the basis of respecting Kenya's ethnic, intellectual, economic, and cultural diversity. They request and recommend to you that we orient our education system to train us for value creation rather than value extraction. On the question of devolution, economic issues, our war on poverty and shared prosperity, they came up with a concept they called the No Kenyan Left Behind. And here's what they have for Kenyans. A constitutional authority for shared prosperity, which is captured in an article on the economy, which is to be implemented together with many legislative measures, and which they came up with a concept called Biashara Mashinani. One of those things they intend to do, or they recommend to you, is increase the county shareable revenue from 15%, the minimum, to 35%. They recommend the creation of a ward fund where 5% of all county revenue will be paid into. The fund The fund will require public participation in project identification and implementation. They recommend a statute known as the Prompt Payment Bill for the payment of invoices for the supply of services and goods to government, where invoices should be paid within a period of 60 days and a tribunal to resolve any disputes as regards outstanding payments. They recommend a one-stop shop, incubation shops and centers all over the country, beginning initially with the counties and going to the wards, where everybody who has a micro-enterprise, a member of the youth, women, will be able to obtain contracts under AGPO, capital under Youth Enterprise Fund and the Women Fund, counseling in the form of information and support and prosperity for all small businesses. For the youth who leave colleges and even for those in universities, they recommend a 4-year moratorium once you leave college on higher education loans board loans. They recommend, again for the youth and for some of the older ones as well, state responsibility for infrastructure that supports the digital economy so that we can sell farm produce and cottage industries right from our villages digitally. They recommend for county that the resources be allocated on their progress in eradicating wastage and corruption and attaining Article 43 rights. These are your rights to health, your rights to housing, your rights to food security, education, and social security. The more you use money, the more money you get. They recommend that the president once a year, during the State of the Nation address, indicates to the country what steps the nation has taken to implement the rights on health, housing, food, education, and social security. The steering committee recommends the simplification of tax laws and broadening the tax base so that taxation policy encourages rather than suppresses business. They encourage closer commitment to our East African community and project and trading partners, which they see as integral to our prosperity. They recommend that among the governors, that if the governor is male, then he should or she should consider a member of the opposite sex for their running mate. They also recommend that deputy governors be given a specific portfolio so that they have a desk and work to do. In the interest of time, I move to the question of the war on corruption. They recommend that Parliament passes laws that are effective for the expeditious hearing, disposal of trial of cases involving corruption. They recommend enhanced penalty for economic crimes and corruption offenses and introduce a duty to report any knowledge or suspicion of instances or acts of corruption. They recommend an offense to be introduced on the concealment of corruption. They recommend, as regards fraudulent land acquired, that the Supreme Court should clarify the law with certainty so that Kenyans can enjoy the security of their land rights. The steering committee recommends strengthening of the office of the DPP, which is to be elevated if the proposal is passed to an independent office under the Constitution. The steering committee recommends to you Kenyans that the Controller of Budget strictly enforces the Public Finance Management Act to ensure that no more than 35% of a national or county government's revenue is used on salaries, benefits, and allowances. They recommend reforming of the IBC, our electoral system, to ensure credible, free, and fair elections. As to the question of gender parity, there are many recommendations, but one of the most prominent ones is full gender parity in the Senate, 47 men and 47 women. In the interest of harmony, in the interest of inclusivity, they recommend the creation of the position of the leader of the official opposition, who is to hold the government of the day accountable. They recommend that the President shall now share power with the Prime Minister and 2 Deputy Prime Ministers. They recommend that the office of Cabinet Secretary be renamed to Cabinet Minister and that the President be able to appoint some of those from the National Assembly. They recommend some changes to the judiciary, including the introduction of the Office of the Judiciary Ombudsman, who shall sit on the Judicial Service Commission so that Kenyans have somewhere to take their complaints if they have any. The Steering Committee recommends the creation of a youth commission that will champion all youth issues in the country. The Steering Committee recommends the creation of a health commission under statute to look into questions of health professionals and to help harmonize standards of service in the counties and in the nation. There are many, many more provisions that you should read from the report. You have had to read for yourself. And the Steering Committee humbly submits their report and submits, in accordance with its mandate, that you can see reflected back at you your stories, your desires, your frustrations, which they have attempted to turn into instruments of change. Thank you very much for the privilege of your attention.
Asante sana wakili, na sasa nitamwalika mtaalamu wa masuala ya uongozi Bwana Padi Onyango aendelee kutufafanulia yale yaliyomo kwenye ripoti ya BBI. Padi Onyango.
Your Excellency the President, Your Excellency the Deputy President, Your Excellency the Right Honorable Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am representing one of the committees that worked on legislation that needs to be changed so that the recommendations of the steering committee can be implemented. There are many legislation that we looked at, but I will only mention a few in the interest of time. But firstly, I'll give preference to special legislation that needs to be given, that we have recommended should be given priority as we move on. The first one is the Persons with Disabilities Act, which has taken 11 years to try and repeal. Your Excellency, we are happy that on the 14th of August 2018, your cabinet in the third meeting adopted a resolution calling for the repeal of the 2003 Persons with Disabilities Act. Secondly, under the special category, we have the Kenya Sign Language Bill, which takes care of the deaf, that should be also fast-tracked. Under the special category, and finally, Your Excellency, on 26th of March 2015, in your State of the Nation address, you offered apologies to Kenyans for the historical injustices suffered, and you directed the Treasury to establish a fund called Restorative Justice Fund. In recognition of that, and to give effect to that directive, we have proposed the enactment of a legislation known as Reparative and Restorative Justice Bill, which then will be considered at Parliament. The essence of this is that all historical injustices, as covered in the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission, will be implemented within a time frame. And you know some of these injustices include the Wagala massacre, for example, extrajudicial killings. People have been assassinated over time. Now the committee has recommended that these be given priority. On the other legislation, which are facilitative of the recommendations that are contained in the constitutional proposals, which my colleague Tom has presented, I will start with the elections laws. There are many of them. One is the IBC Act. The IBC Amendment Bill seeks to reform the IBC first, to give it strength and independence from any interference, to make it possible for inclusion, for example, when the time for recruiting commissioners and officials, the persons with disability, for example, are taken into account in terms of Article 554(2) of the Constitution. In reforming the Constitution, we are all aware that there is a vacancy at the moment. We only have 3 commissioners. We should have 7, and that was the recommendation of the committee has given. In this regard, a process has been recommended where the existing commissioners will be vetted afresh, as is the case with other vettings that we have had in the past, and then those suitable will continue in office. We are saying that there will be a panel to do that vetting and appointment. So the recommendation is that the 4 vacancies that are there should be filled in the next 6 months. That is the recommendation that has been given. On the Political Parties Act, the political parties have been obligated, when they're doing party primaries, to take care of the interests of marginalized youth, women, persons with disability. And in case of persons with disabilities, there is a recommendation that persons with disability who are members of political parties form an electoral college within the party so that they elect one of their own rather than being given someone to represent them. And then we have made a recommendation under the Political Parties Act whether we have proposed that all disputes arising out of a nomination during the political campaign or primaries should be resolved by the party, within the party. And therefore, anybody going to the political parties dispute tribunal must show that they have exhausted internal party mechanism before they can be allowed to move the tribunal. And that applies also to petitions. On Election Offences Act, we have made stringent measures, we have recommended measures that any person causing violence be barred from taking part in succeeding elections for 5 years. And again, it has been recommended that where violence is meted against women candidates, that violence will be an aggravating factor. So, for example, if you happen to assault a woman outside the election period, then that will be common assault. But if you assault a woman within the election period, then you will be given a higher penalty or sentence than in ordinary circumstances. Yes, on election campaign financing. On election campaign financing, there is a requirement, it is recommended that candidates campaigning or seeking state office should declare the sources of their funds. The idea is to save the sovereignty of the country and to ensure that we have the right people in leadership to do the right thing. I now come to there are others, but now we'll go to the police. We are recommending that IPOA be elevated to the status of a commission, a Chapter 15 commission, for purposes of oversight and ensuring that there is discipline in the police force, so that issues of extrajudicial killings associated with the police should be a thing of the past. I have just seen Baby Pendo is here, the parents of Baby Pendo is here. That is something which should be a thing of the past in our existence. I don't want to go further. There are others my colleagues have mentioned, and I would like to leave it there for now. Read the legislation, read the administrative function. Yeah.
Asante sana Padri Onyango na asante sana wakili. Na baada ya kuwasikiliza wataalam, naomba sasa utukubalie Mheshimiwa Rais, tuwape nafasi wananchi wachache na viongozi wachache waweze kutoa maoni yao. And I wish to most humbly and with utmost humility request all the speakers to observe time strictly as we agreed, and to also respect the program as set, so that when we invite you, it's only you and you won't invite somebody else to speak. Most kindly. Na kwa sasa Mheshimiwa Rais, naomba uniruhusu nimwite Mama Pendo, Baba Pendo na Joseph Maina Kawe wazungumze kwa kifupi. Mama Pendo, karibu.
Mheshimiwa Rais, mabibi na mabwana, habari ya asubuhi. Kwa majina naitwa Lensa Chieng, mimi ndio mamake Pendo, na kama familia ya Pendo, si tumekuja kuhubiri amani ili tusonge mbele. Sitaki kusema mengi, mmejua chenye ilifanyika wakati uchaguzi mwezi wa 8, 2017. A flower was uprooted from my garden and it can never be replaced. I can be given another person, but not the same person like Pendo. Kwa wanasiasa, sisi wana Kenya, mkikuja kwetu, muuze siara zenyu, tupige debe, wale wenye tujashinda, tukubaliane na mwenye ameshinda, tusongeshe Kenya yetu mbele. Na mnapokuja kwetu, mchunge chenye inatoka kwa ulimi yenu. Msifanye sisi youth tupigane na nyinyi mnaendelea mbele. Wewe sema tu yako yenye uko nayo, tukubaliane nayo, vile BBI tujisomee. Nikikubali nipige tick, nikikata nipige X. Tusongeshe Kenya mbele. Na nawaomba wanasiasa, ikuwe mwisho kwa kitu ilitendeka 2017, mwanamke yoyote asilie mtoto wake na familia yoyote isilie mtu wake. Msituache sisi victim tubaki na pain and agony while you move on. Wakati yenye tumepata msiba, kuja kwetu uangalie how are those victims faring on, and let the nation move on. President Uhuru Kenyatta, I've never seen you face to face, but I know you are a cheerful person, and I was happy when Honorable Raila came and shake hand so that we can move the country forward. Ndio maana nasemanga mwanamke anakuanga gangari. Mwanamke unzampiga, mwanaume anzapiga mwanamke afure uso. Akiamka asubuhi jirani amuulize nini nilikufanya? Atasema liteleza. na atacheka ili asitoe hiyo uchi wake. Ikuwe hivyo, tusitoe uchi wetu, tukue kama mwanamke gangari. Asante.
Asante sana Mama Pendo, asante sana. Niombe sasa umshike mtoto Baba Pendo naye aweze kuja kusema kwa kifupi. Baba Pendo, karibu.
Mheshimiwa Rais, mabibi na mabwana, amjambo? Mko salama? Mimi kwa majina naitwa Joseph Abanja, mimi ndio babake Pendo. So imekuwa hivyo, ikafanyika, but lazima nchi endelee mbele. Ya kwanza nataka kupongeza Rais na Mheshimiwa Raila kwa kuleta handshake, juu venye walileta handshake, dunia ilikuwa na amani. So the only thing nataka kusema saa hii, jameni, ni Wakenya. Wakenya tuko watu wazuri. Tusidanganyane hapa ati siasa hivi ikifika saa ya nini matusi pale mtu anakuja na kumalizia hasira na huko kwa hapo. So ituweke tu kama like I say, like a football pitch. Patana Gor Mahia na FC, Gor Mahia imepiga FC imepiga Gor Mahia, maisha yanaendelea mbele. Hakuna mtu anauliwa. Si ndio? So tukishakuwa hivyo, Kenya itaendelea mbele na Kenya itasonga mbele. But ningependa kuomba Rais Uhuru Kenyatta kwamba venye mmeshikiliana na Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga, msiachane mkono jamani. Msiachane mkono jamani. Msonge mbele na BBI. Venye nimesikia kwa uchache tu, pia nilipewa nimesoma kidogo tu. Naona ni kitu kitaleta mabadiliko kwa maisha yetu. So tupige debe ya BBI, tusonge mbele, tusiuane, tusimwagi damu tena. Wacha damu ya mwanangu ndikuwe ya mwisho kuwatika election kumwagika tena. Wacha damu ya mwanangu ndikuwe ya mwisho. Kwa hiyo machache tu nasema asante, na Mheshimiwa Rais, kumbuka familia ya Bibi Pendo. Msituache hivyo sana bwana. Mmetuacha tunateseka bwana. Asanteni.
Mheshimiwa Rais, mabibi na mabwana, majina yangu naitwa Joseph Maina Kawe kutoka kaunti ya Nakuru katika sub-county ya Molo. Nimesimama hapa kwa sababu mimi ni mmoja wa wale ambao wameathirika sana na vita vya baada ya uchaguzi ambao ilianza kunisumbua nikiwa miaka 13 na hadi siku hii ya leo niko mjini Molo nikikodesha nyumba na kwetu nina kwetu ambako ni kule juu upande wa Kulesoi. Na haya mambo yote kutoka mwaka wa 1992 kulitokea vita, na wakati huo mwajua ya kwamba mtoto wa miaka 13 hawezi akapiga kura, hana kitambulisho. Siwezi kujua ni mambo gani yaliyonipata ili niweze kuomba kwetu, nyumba zikachomwa, ng'ombe zetu zikaibiwa na mambo mengi yakafuatilia. Tukafika mjini Molo, baada ya kipindi tena tulirudi na kukawa na amani. Tukarudi mwaka wa 1997, yale maneno yakajirudia, na ikawa ya kwamba tena kile kidogo ambacho tulikuwa tumeleta pamoja na mama yetu mjane, ikawa ya kwamba tena kimeharibika, sio kwa sababu ya jambo lingine, ni kwa sababu ya matukio ya baada ya siasa. Mwaka wa 2003 ikawa hivyo, mwaka wa 2005 wakati wa wako draft ikarudia hivyo, na mwaka wa 2008 ikawa ndio ilikuwa mbaya kuliko zote. Ombi langu siku hii ya leo ni ya kwamba jameni, ninavyosikia kama vile nimesikia ikielezwa, kama vile nimeiangalia, nimekuwa nikiuliza tiba itatoka wapi? Tiba ambayo inaweza ponya taifa letu mara moja na mwisho. Kwa sababu kuna wakati tulidhania ya kwamba kwa sababu ya kupata kiongozi wa kabila letu tutapata amani, lakini pia hata wakati tulipata hivyo amani hatukuipata. Jameni, ninaposoma document hii na kama ndio itakuwa tiba, ombi langu ni hili: nisaidieni, kwa sababu siku hii ya leo mametu alisukumwa na hata leo yuko kaburini baada ya depression nyingi. Na mimi naomba ya kwamba kama kuna kitu ambacho singetaka watoto wangu wakione na vizazi vya baadaye, ni yale mambo ambayo nimeyapitia. Mungu awabariki na Mungu abariki taifa la Kenya.
Nitamwalika sasa Mheshimiwa Kate Waruguru na Alex Matere waongee kwa niaba ya vijana. Mheshimiwa.
BBI, unaniambia Kenya moja. BBI. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, on this historic day, katika ukumbi wa Bomas, on a day when you are born and you are celebrating your birthday. Happy birthday, Your Excellency. Mimi nitasema tu machache kuhusu maneno ya vijana. Sisi kama vijana tumechoka kila baada ya miaka 5. Vijana wanatumika kufanya campaign ikikwisha maneno yao inakuishia pale. Kando na hiyo uchafuzi ambao huwa unatokea, biashara za sisi kama vijana zinaharibika. And we want to thank the handshake, the President and Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga for inviting us on this occasion to have a national dialogue and a national conversations, because there is no country without us as young people in this Republic of Kenya. Mheshimiwa Rais, wewe unakaa kama Nehemia. Umekubali kutuita sisi kama Wakenya tujadiliane na tuongee juu ya kuta ambazo zimeanguka. Tunakuomba ufunge masikio yako mkiwa na Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga na viongozi ambayo kwa midomo yao na vinywa vyao wanasema wanataka kuona Kenya ikiendelea mbele. Conversation ya BBI lazima ikuwe ni conversation ya patriotism and not a conversation of 2022 politics or 2027 politics. We want to see sisi kama wamama, vijana wetu wakimaliza standard 8 ama form 4, the government will be taking care of our youth as opposed to us investing in individuals ambao wanakuambia tutakuweka ndani ya serikali ijayo. Sisi tunataka haki yetu ilindwe na serikali ndani ya katiba, ndani ya BBI. Tunaomoka kwa katiba na sio kuomoka kwa biashara ya kutengwa. Kwa hayo mengi na machache, naomba Mungu awabariki.
Your Excellency the President, Your Excellency the Deputy President, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, it is with profound humility that I stand before you today representing the more than 39 million young people of our country. Your Excellency, it is the former President of the United States, J.F. Kennedy, who said that the future prospects of a nation can be directly measured by the kind of investment that its leadership bestow on the young people. And as I stand here today, I know when the introduction was being done that the head of Secretariat of the BBI task force together with the Secretariat are actually young people. That it was actually very inconceivable that a young person from the Western region, Trans Nzoia County for instance, can have the opportunity of standing and addressing such a gathering in Kenya today. If that is anything to go by, then the future of Kenya is indeed luminous. Your Excellency, first allow me to join the other speakers in congratulating you and the Right Honorable Prime Minister for the magnanimity introducing the handshake that has given forth to the BBI. One thing that I'm sure of is that when the history of our nation will be written, your names will be written in the golden pages of that book. Your Excellency, allow me secondly to appreciate the task force because they went round and they collected the views and aspirations of the young people. And I can confidently report to you today that the views, the aspirations and the perspective of the young people are in the document as we speak. In the annexure of that document, the task force recognizes the youth as a special segment upon which the foundation of a peaceful, cohesive, and prosperous nation will be built on. Secondly, Your Excellency, the youth of our country have been feeling that they have been left out. And we have a common cliche that if you're not on the table, then you're on the menu. And the youth of this country have been on the menu for far too long. At this particular moment, when we are launching the BBI report, I'm happy and elated as any other youth from this country that the report gives us a table on the seat by introducing a youth commission that will ensure our issues are mainstreamed and that we have serious engagement with government and other non-state actors. Secondly, we have a problem and a very great challenge in terms of unemployment and unemployment of the young people. The report faces it in three phases. That one, we have TVETs that are able to train our people with skills and so that they can be able to develop our country. And secondly, we have the Biashara Mashinani that is also part and parcel of the document. And thirdly, we have business incubation centers that are going to the ward level. With all this together, merged together, you can be rest assured that the young people at Mashinani are going to change their prospects and also the prospects of this country. In the language of Mashinani, I can tell you, Your Excellency, vijana wanasema ya kwamba mbogi za mtaa zinaenda kuomoka na BBI. Lastly, Your Excellency, as we celebrate the gains that are going to come with BBI, we should also be wary of the political class. And as the youth of this country, we've experienced the politicians who have mastered the art of conning, conniving, confusing, and taking advantage of our youth and cutting corners with their future. We are here today to give them notice. We've seen some of them who are parading inventions that happened during the 16th century of a one-wheel machine. And we are telling them this morning that the 16th century inventions cannot be used to solve the challenges of the 21st century. Because reggae is back, Your Excellency. Because reggae is back, allow me to quote Bob Marley. And he sang and said that you can lie to some people sometimes, you can lie to some people all the time, but you cannot lie to all the people all the time. In conclusion, Your Excellency, Martin Luther King said that all of us, and I paraphrase, that all of us must endeavor to fly. But if we cannot fly, then we run. And if we cannot run, then we walk. And if we cannot walk, then we crawl. The message of the young people today is that they will going to fly with you, that they are going to run with you, that they are going to walk with you. And if circumstances force us, then we are going to crawl with you to ensure that your legacy is secured and delivered, and also that the prospects of the BBI are united. Thank you very much.
Asante sana. Asante sana. Mheshimiwa Mishiboko, Rene Mayaka na Governor Charity Ngilu wataongea kwa niaba ya kina mama. Mheshimiwa.
Mheshimiwa Rais wa Taifa la Kenya, Mheshimiwa Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, Naibu wa Rais, Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga, itifaki zote zikizingatiwa, mabibi na mabwana, Kenya hoye! Waswahili wanasema hayawi hayawi huwa. Leo tumefikia siku mwafaka, siku muhimu ambayo tunazindua ripoti ya BBI, ripoti ambayo ilikuwa inazungumzia kujenga madaraja ya kuleta amani katika taifa letu la Kenya, madaraja ya kujenga umoja katika taifa letu la Kenya, madaraja ya kuleta ufanisi wa maendeleo katika nyanjani. Kwa niaba ya kina mama wenzangu viongozi na kina mama wa Kenya, sisi tunaunga mkono ripoti hii kwa sababu imeangazia haki za kimsingi za kina mama. Tukiangalia Mheshimiwa Rais, BBI imezungumzia ya kwamba katika nafasi ya ugavana, gavana akiwa mwanamke, naibu wake atakuwa mwanamume. Hivyo basi, jambo hili litaweza kutupatia ngazi sisi kama kina mama wa taifa la Kenya tuweze kupata hatua ya kuingia katika uongozi wa ugavana katika kaunti zetu. Vile vile katika seneta, sasa hivi tulikuwa tuna masenesa wateuliwa 16 na wale watatu tu wachache waliochaguliwa. lakini sasa tutapata sauti ya kina mama waliochaguliwa kikura, watakao kuwa na haki ya kupiga kura pale katika bunge la seneti na kuweza kufanya maamuzi ya kuhusu mambo ya county government zetu pale mashinani. Mheshimiwa Rais, tunajua hapo awali tulikuwa na wale kina mama 47 katika National Assembly, lakini sasa hivi katika ripoti ya BBI tunaona kuna formula nyingine ambazo zinazungumziwa ili kuona ya kwamba tutaweza kuhakikisha ile sheria ya 2/3 ya jinsia itaweza kupatikana. Tunaomba sana wale wataalamu, wale tunawaita experts, waweze kuweka formula ambayo haitaleta tena utata ifikie ya kwamba eti bunge la taifa liweze kuvunjwa. Tunasema ya kwamba Mkenya aisome BBI report, tusiweze kudanganyika na porojo, tusiweze kushika propaganda. Huno si wakati wa kudharauliana, huno si wakati wa matusi, huno si wakati wa kejeli. Huno ni wakati sisi wa Kenya tuje pamoja, tujizatiti, tuwe kidete, tuweze kufungua ukurasa mwingine wa taifa la Kenya lenye umoja, amani, ufanisi na maendeleo katika nyanja zetu. Jamani, mwenzako anaposema mimi naipinga katiba, muite karibu, mzungumzie, mpe ushauri, aielewe kinagaubwaga, ndiposa tuweze kufanya maamuzi. Na mimi kwa yale mengi yamezungumziwa ambayo tumeyapata, si elimu, si universal health, si mambo ya mashamba, si mambo ya kilimo. Jamani, tusikose mwana na maji ya moto, tushikane kidete kimoja kama Wakenya, tuhakikishe tuna ukurasa mwingine. Wakati wa siasa ukija, tuwe kama wenzetu majirani wa Tanzania, tunapiga kura na tunafanya uwiano na tunakuwa na mapenzi. Twakupenda sana Mheshimiwa Rais, twakupenda sana Mheshimiwa Raila, kwa sababu umetuenzi sisi kama kina mama. Endelea kutuenzi, uache urithi wako ama legacy yako iwe itazungumziwa na vizazi vijavyo kuhusiana na uongozi wa kina mama, vijana na walemavu. Asanteni.
Your Excellency, the President of Kenya, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Your Excellency, elections such as ours in previous years have always come out with an aspect of winner takes all, where some Kenyans end up laughing all the way to the bank as others laugh all the way to the toilet. Your Excellency, we are particularly happy with the handshake that happened between you and the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga on March 2018. That for some of us came as a shock, but we were quickly very happy about it, because as a result of it, the country that is Kenya has started to be in the process of ensuring that we are no longer polarized. Your Excellency, as a women of Kenya, we are particularly very happy with the BBI. Wamama tumefurahi ama tujafurahi? Tumefurahi ama tujafurahi? We are happy, Your Excellency, because in particular when I talk about the Senate, where now we will have our women being able to vote, and now we even want to have the formula coming back so that the women of Kenya in the Senate can actually vote for a higher percentage for water, and they can vote for a higher percentage for women empowerment at the county level. Your Excellency, we are happy with the Youth Commission, that we must say right now that we want it to be explicit, leaving no room for maneuvers and variances. Your Excellency, as a member of County Assembly, from the County Assembly of Nyamira, we are particularly happy with the 35% that is coming to the devolution. We are also happy with 5% for ward development, because this has been a thorny issue for many members of county assemblies for a very long time. At least now we are able to ensure that Article 35 is taken care of. Sisi kama ma MCA tunangoja the next process na tutacheza kama sisi. Your Excellency, as a young Kenyan, I recall that one day on the 25th of July 2019, together with 4 other young ladies, you gave us a platform as presidential candidates in a reality TV. And because of that platform, Your Excellency, I want to assure you that together with other like-minded young Kenyans, we are starting a Baraza la Vijana forums to enable our young people have discussions on the BBI report so that we can make informed decisions. Your Excellency, as I conclude, I'd like to say, as the mothers of this country, we will nurture the BBI report like a baby. We ask the fathers to join us so that 50 years from now, our children, our children's children can celebrate the BBI 50th birthday. And speaking of birthdays, Your Excellency, on behalf of the women of Kenya, I'd like to wish you a happy birthday. May the good Lord bless you. May the good Lord bless our nation of Kenya. And may the good bless all of you. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Rais Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, Your Excellency, Mheshimiwa former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga, Mheshimiwa Deputy President, mabibi na mabwana, hamjambo. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Let me just say, I have been invited here to speak on behalf of women, but I also speak on behalf of Kenyans. And to say that today is a great day. 10 years ago, we met in this very same place and we promulgated a new constitution. We said then that we will continue to make any amendments that are necessary. 10 years after, we have reflected, we have seen some of the things that needs to be changed, and we are here to change them. And we are going to change them so that we can get everybody included in the running affairs of this nation. We do not want anybody to be left behind. Therefore, Your Excellency and the former Prime Minister, thank you so much for coming together in a timely way, shook hands, agreed, and we put every Kenya to be part of this. I would like to say, Your Excellency, from where I'm sitting as the governor of Kitui County, first and foremost, I really say thank you that in this constitution, we are going to have extra resources that will go mashinani. And that is what a lot of people have been advocating. We have been getting 15%. Now we are talking about 35%. Surely 35% will get Kenyans out of ufukara, will get Kenyans out of maskini, and these are the things that we have all been fighting for since independence 57 years ago. Today is the time for we leaders to appreciate, with more resources on the ground, using those resources well, for sure Kenya will start growing. And for the leadership to understand that if we use the resources well, we can now actually implement our Big Four agenda, ensuring that every Kenyan has food, ensuring that we can get universal health care, ensuring that we can manufacture, and the leadership to sell our goods, both in the country and outside the country. Small handouts. Small handouts coming from leaders. It has no place in this country. Let us get every Kenyan working for what they believe we believe in. Your Excellency, having said that, first and foremost, I also want to insist that these resources must make sure
that Kenyans get better health care, that women can get water into their kitchens, that we can have food on the table. For me, that is the basic needs that we have fought for many years. Your Excellency, National Assembly issue of two-third gender rule has not been addressed in this proposed constitution. Remember, there is a serious threat of Chief Justice Maraga that we must have the two-third gender rule. And when they say that, it is not others, it is we women who are targeted. Your Excellency, the 7 depositions that will be given to the National Assembly, then put it there that they will all of them go to women. All of them, without exception. Your Excellency, you know, I wear 2 hats. I'm a party leader, and I'm also a woman, and I'm a governor, and the only one governor you didn't even call. So let me take 3 minutes. Your Excellency, finally, the executive is very silent. We know those positions up there, it is easy and we know it can happen. That what wakai, pahali, now they will do always what they do. We want those 5 positions to ensure there is a two-third gender rule applied. Your Excellency, it is said and it must be said all the time. Where 2 or 3 are gathered to make policy decisions, there's got to be gender rule applied. I want to thank you. God bless Kenya. Tuingie mashinani, tuuze hii katiba. Hii katiba ni lazima ipite. Asante sana. God bless you.
Asante sana Governor. Atakayetoa maoni yake sasa ni Ashura Michael na atasaidiwa na mtafsiri Flora Atieno.
His Excellency, Honorable President Uhuru Kenyatta, His Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, our Deputy President, Honorable Ruto, all protocol observed. I'm pleased to be here to witness the milestone that we've been waiting for a long time. I appreciate on behalf of my community, which is the deaf community, BBI is not about Honorable Raila and my President Uhuru. BBI is about me and you. It's to promote diversity in our nation. BBI is going to unite us. We have persons with disabilities, we have the women, we have youth. We've been all enacted into the BBI. My name is Ashura Michael, a graduate of Nairobi University and taking law in the same university. This BBI is to change our lives for the better, to change our life for all of us to live as we want. I appreciate you. And I would like to ask everyone to read this document. Read keenly. Don't let anyone read for you. Thank you for the good work that you're doing. As persons with disabilities, we have benefited in the BBI. Article 54(2) of the Constitution. I'm happy that the word progressive have been removed, and it will make sure that persons with disabilities access different positions. We have the disability bill that has been in the National Assembly for a long time, awaiting debate. It will make sure it's implemented within 2 years. We have the Kenya policy on guide and unity to diversity. It's going to make sure that our positions are not lost in this document. Right now, 17 counties don't have representative of persons with disabilities, but I'm sure with the BBI, we are going to be represented in all the counties. I'd like to encourage my brothers and sisters to go through the document. The aspiring governors, I'd like to encourage you to kindly appoint persons with disabilities to be your deputies. Don't listen from anyone. Don't listen to anyone. Kindly take your time to read this document, and I believe it's going to change your mind. Na nikimalizia, mtukufu Rais, I'd like to thank you so much for uniting us, making our country best to develop for our children. Thank you for improving our economy. Finally, Mheshimiwa Rais, recently you went to Kisumu na nikasikia ukisema unatafuta mpango wa kando. Najua mama alikubali. Babangu Raila yuko hapa, ako tayari kuchukua mahari, na ndugu yangu hapa Deputy President akikubali atakuwa best man. Sasa na mama wa taifa tutaendelea kubuild bridges pamoja. Na sasa mtoto wa BBI atazaliwa. Asanteni sana.
Tumpungie mkono hewani, tumpungie mkono hewani. Asante. Asante sana. Kwa niaba ya wafanya biashara hapa nchini, asante. Asante. Kwa niaba ya wafanyabiashara hapa nchini, Nick Nesbitt wa KEPSA, Mike Raba na Richard Muteti wataongea kwa kifupi. Karibuni. Nick, we strictly 3 minutes kindly so that we are able to move the program. Na wakati anakuja nitakubusha wale wote ambao wataongea, tulikubaliana kwa heshima dakika 3. Asante.
Thank you. Your Excellency, good morning, happy birthday on behalf of the private sector and everybody. Right Honourable Raila Odinga, Deputy President, Honourable William Ruto, distinguished guests, all protocols observed. Good morning, everybody. My name is Nick Nesbitt, and I'm chairman of KEPSA, the Private Sector Alliance. But I'm standing here not really to talk perhaps only on behalf of private sector, but also to talk on behalf of the Multi-Sectoral Forum. This is an organization or a group of organizations from the religious, the civil society, the media, professionals, youth, women groups that all came together at the end of 2018 to talk about the ills of our country and the positives of our country. And we came together and presented a report to the BBI to address what we thought would help move the country forward. And we're very happy and pleased, Your Excellency, to read many of our recommendations and see that they have been included in the BBI report. And for that, to the BBI team, I say asanteni and thank you very much. So my comments are, I hope to be very brief here, but what I want to talk about is how do we create an inclusive economy? And I'm coming from the private sector, the economy side. How do we make sure it's fair and equitable, that youth, women, and even the elderly can participate? How do we make sure that this is a country that improves its competitiveness so that the SMEs in Kenya can expand in the region and expand in the world? And to do that, we have a few points. One of them is we must adopt an ethos of self-regulation. We talk about it as Nyumba Kumi, but we must all become our brother and sisters keepers. That means as professionals, that means as people in the wards at all levels, we must bring honesty and integrity to our work, and we must call out people who are not doing the same. We must ensure that in this inclusive economy, we can ensure that all the people who want to participate in programs, in projects, in companies, in tenders, can do that safely and they can be certain to win. This issue of he tender ni yahawa must stop. We must ensure that young people and women can win fair and square. We must build an export-led economy. We must ensure that everything that we do in terms of the money that we raise as companies and the taxes that we pay is put to good use. We must ensure the public is engaged in all sectors of the economy, and we reach out to everybody and ensure that we can move forward together. So with those few words, I just want to say thank you that our report was included. We, as business people, always do handshakes. We thank you for your handshakes, and we like the whole concept of shaking hands. However, the pandemic has made it a little more difficult. So we give a fist bump to everybody, and we wish us all a very good day. And thank you very much for listening to us. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the President, Your Excellency, Deputy President, Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Good. My name is Michael Rabah. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the SME sector. I'm the founder of a group of companies called the Homeboys Entertainment Group of Companies. We're in the business of entertainment, sports, media, and broadcasting. Homeboys was founded 20 years ago while I was in university. I began my business by selling cassettes to matatus. In our past 20 years of existence, the company has now grown to employ over 200 young people whose livelihoods fully depend on the growth and sustenance of the entertainment industry. Your Excellency, it's not been easy building and sustaining the business under the current prevailing environment, especially being in the Juakali sector. However, with commitment, perseverance, and hard work, we have soldiered on and have been very successful in expanding the business as we continue creating employment opportunities for young people. Despite the challenges, Your Excellency, we are, however, proud to state today that by the end of this year, we shall be listing in the NSE, the first of its kind. This, indeed, Your Excellency, is a milestone and will be a first for business like ours in the Juakali sector. This goes to show to my fellow entrepreneurs, with hard work, vision, commitment, and an enabling environment, and repeat the terms, enabling environment, our dreams can come true. So, Your Excellency, what does BBI mean for small businesses? As for the document, its first aim is to reduce the hurdles of setting up small businesses. The cost of doing business shall be reduced, the bureaucracy of getting paperwork shall be reduced as well, and this shall encourage businesses in the smallest sector to thrive. Secondly, it aims to give youth-owned enterprises a 7-year tax break. That is music to our ears. 7-year tax break, meaning small businesses can now set up and pay taxes 7 years once they establish themselves. I think for us, had this been happened a few years ago, it would have been much, much bigger than we are right now. Thirdly, it aims to set up business incubation centers across the country for the purposes of providing access to finance, advice, mentorship, and access to market and to government contracts. These are resources we never had as we set up our business 20 years ago. So this, again, is a big positive that BBI brings to the table. Again, having been a university student, I know what it means to have to pay your HELB loan immediately you get your first job. The BBI proposes to give us a 4-year moratorium, a grace period in which to settle down, start our businesses, then begin paying our loans. That, again, a big plus for those who've just come out of university. Again, BBI aims to increase the county shareable revenue from 15% to 35%. That means that there shall be a lot of business opportunities for young people right in the county level. No need to rush to the city to get these jobs. All right? It also aims to create a fund at the ward where 5% of all revenue county receives, 5% gets to the county at the ward level, meaning there will be enhanced business opportunities for young people in the local wards. And lastly, it supports the setup of affordable and reliable access to digital platforms and villages. This will promote e-commerce at all sectors. Anybody with products in the village can then access the market both locally and internationally. I think, Your Excellency, this will be a big positive boost for businesses in the country. Your Excellency, as we build bridges The BBI will also help build businesses. I think the second bit should be businesses as well, not beyond bridges. So building bridges, building businesses initiative. Thank you very much, and may God bless you.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jambo. My name is Richard Muteti. I'm representing the National Federation of Juakali Associations and the National Coalition of Informal Sector Coalition on Business Continuity. Your Excellency, I'm happy today to inform you that among the crowds, among the hundreds of people here, is the National Chairman of Kenya National Hawkers Association, Makofi kwa Hawkers, and the National Chairman of the Kenya National Federation of Juakali Associations. Your Excellency, we also have the National Chairman of the Nduthi sector, United Border Associations. I have just a few points today. Your Excellency, the informal economic sector is the biggest single employer in this country. It employs more than 16.4 million people who put their food on the table. And the informal economic sector has been the biggest victim of politicians. They are the people who vote, and they are the people who fight. They are the people who manufacture the jembes and the arrows you see. And they are the people who are confused. For the first time in this document, the SMEs or MSMEs are recognized officially by this document. It has never been recognized in this country. Your Excellency, a few points that are making us support this document, namely the Constitution. The people talk about Kenya, the importance of the SME sector, but they have never constituted them officially and mainstreamed them. This document is mainstreaming the MSME sector into the Constitution. That's a very big plus for us. Your Excellency, MSMEs do business. The government is the biggest purchaser. Your Excellency, when our people are not paid on time, they die. Because they have nothing, they have no money to sustain themselves as the big boys. So if you give our people business and you take more than 2 months, that's why, Your Excellency, most of our people work with medicine in their pocket. But I'm happy to inform you today that this document talks about the prompt payment bill, whereby now it will be mandatory for our people to be paid on time. They will not be begging. And this is going to create employment, it's going to create jobs, and it's going to give hope to millions of Kenyans in this country. Your Excellency, we are talking about, in this document, the business incubation centers. That we are going to have business information incubation centers in all areas, mpaka mashinani. That will not be coming from Kisumu, from Machakos to Nairobi to seek for help. That your small business will be nurtured where you are. Makofi kwa BBI. For the first time, we're also talking about business registration by the youths, the women, and people with disability, majority of whom are in the informal economic sector. This is the first time that they are going to be mainstreamed in the Constitution. The other times, imekuwa ni story na porojo. This time, they're going to be mainstreamed inside, and they're going to be measured, and their supplies are going to be appreciated. Your Excellency, lastly, we are talking about tax holidays. It has never been in this country before that a startup starts paying tax immediately. So he is knocked by taxes, he dies. This document says, start your small business and do it for 7 years. Nurture yourself, then you will grow. Ain't it a good thing? Lastly, Your Excellency, the informal economic sector in this country, people think that it is not organized. We have an elaborate structure in this country. We have an elaborate structure in the region. I am the head of the Secretariat of the Informal Sector in the East Africa region, and one of the messages they have for this country is that they are waiting for this BBI to pass, empower our MSCs, and then they encourage their countries also to have a BBI. Thank you very much.
Naomba uniruhusu Mheshimiwa Rais niwaite sasa Askofu David Ogide na Ibrahim Ridhome waongee kwa niaba ya viongozi wa kidini. Bishop na Ibrahim, karibuni. And I will still remind all of us who are speaking that we kindly stick to the 3 minutes, kindly. Thank you.
Your Excellency, President Uhuru Kenyatta, Your Excellency, Deputy President, and Right Honorable Prime Minister, we are delighted to be here this day. As a religious community, our greatest concern for the nation is peace. That we live in a peaceful environment where everybody is able to do that which they would want to do without interference, without fear of anything happening to them. And so, over the years, we have tried our best to be peace brokers for this country. I was privileged in 2017, after the contested results of the elections, that I was part of a small team that from the diplomatic community, from the business sector, from civil society, and the religious communities under the leadership of the former U.S. Ambassador Robert Godek. For several months, we engaged in a shuttle diplomacy, committed to seeing this country get back to normalcy. Sadly, both sides were extremely hard. And I can tell you it was one of the most difficult responsibilities that I've ever had. It therefore came as a great and pleasant surprise when Your Excellency and Right Honorable Prime Minister stood on the steps of Harambee House in the famous handshake. We were delighted that you also spoke of creating a national conversation on issues that bedevil this nation every electoral season. This has been one of our key plans to create a national conversation. In fact, our group was loosely known as National Conversation. Your Excellency, I say all this to let you know that the spirit of national conversation has been with some of us for a very long time, well before BBI. This is because we have believed that unless and until we address the cancer that eats this nation, we will never have enduring peace. To continue with business as usual is to deceive ourselves. It is just a matter of time, and this country will one of these days explode to unquenchable flames. For this reason, we want to unequivocally laud the efforts that have been made by the steering team and by your leadership in addressing these issues. Your Excellency, we, however, have some very serious concerns. In this nation, we have developed a very dangerous tendency of politicizing everything. Even a very important matter as constitution making gets shrouded in political intrigues. That is why we are finding ourselves with laws that cannot satisfy the desire of the political class, but do not effectively address our national needs and aspirations. It is in this light that I want to plead with our political leaders. Please allow the current process to objectively lay a foundation for the future of this nation. We must therefore remember that the laws you make today will tie your hands and your feet tomorrow. The liberties you take away today will imprison you tomorrow. It is most unfortunate that the politics of our nation is based on divide and rule. Politicians somehow believe that the only way to succeed is to divide us into dichotomous categories of us versus them. Yet, political interests shift rapidly. Between 2017 and 2020, the political formations have changed significantly. In fact, I want to prophesy that it will not be a surprise before 2022 that Dr. William Ruto and Honorable Raila Odinga will be on the same side. It is a fact that no nation has ever become great through division. The Bible is clear that where there is unity, the Lord commands a blessing. A cord of 3 strands cannot be broken. Your Excellency, perhaps it is time that hustlers should pause their hustling for a moment, and the reggae dancers pause their dance for a moment, and join together in a serious Jerusalem dance for the sake of the peace and the unity of this nation. After all, DJ Master KG and his sister remind us that the New Jerusalem is our ultimate home. Finally, Your Excellency, in 2005 and in the 2010 referendum, the church said no because of various major principles. We would like to see this addressed. We have noticed that the pillar of religion and faith seems to be completely missing. Furthermore, the Religious Freedom Bill that was to help the registration of religious groups seems to have been left out. Issues of marriage and family need to be taken care of. Your Excellency, we want to assure you that as a Christian community, after this launch, we are going to review the report and make our position known. If we choose to support it, it will be because we believe it is good for the country. If we find anything contrary, we will call for appropriate amendment. God bless you and thank you for a great work. Amen.
Asante sana Askofu. Naomba niwaalike sasa Wilson Sosion na Francis Atwoli kwa niaba ya wafanyikazi. Kwa heshima. Na niombe na niendelee kuomba, we stick to the 3 minutes. Mzee, tunaweza kuanza na Mzee Atwoli because you are here, sir. Kindly.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, the Deputy President, and all delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Hii ni siku ya historia, sababu tumekusanya na tumepitia safari ya kina kama wa Kenya. As a country and from the labor perspective, it has been very disturbing from 1992. We drive our country into points of uncertainties, killings in every election. 1997, the same, but in 2002, we were more historic and more decisive as a country because we were very optimistic and we came together through NAG. But we lost it again in 2005 during the referendum. We went in different direction. Now 2007, the same thing. I think, rightly as has been presented by the committee of experts, we agree the document is wonderful. And all what we need moving forward is to objectively reflect and open a robust conversation and improve the document and go through a referendum and pass it so that we can have peaceful elections in 2022 and a robust economy that guarantees employment of the youth in this country. There is no solution to the youth except guarantee to decent employment. And that decent employment is in a strong economy. And that explains why, as a labor movement, we were very passionate in campaigning for a handshake even before elections in 2017. But now that it has come, we urge all Kenyans to close rank and we stand together and support this document. Where there are gaps, there should be room for us to correct. From the labor movement, we even think the aspect of the constitutional commissions needs to be worked on more thoroughly so that workers who are the main drivers of the economy, can continue enjoying their freedom and right to negotiate without much interference from the institutions that we have created. In overall, we support this process, but we urge more engagement and more friendship as we deal with it. Thank you.
Yes! Yes! Shenzi sana. Wakati nilisimama hapa last time, nikaambia hii document ni document mzuri na inataka ipigwe msasa kidogo, wengine wakapiga kelele. Na tulikuwa tunajua ni kwa nini. Na nataka kushukuru mtukufu rais. Ulikuwa na nia, ulikuwa na sababu, na ulikuwa na uwezo, na tumeona document. Nataka kuwashukuru wale ma-experts. Na nataka kuapili kwa Kenyans wenzangu, kwa niaba ya wafanyikazi wa nchi hii. Kuna vitu vingi ambavyo sisi tuliuliza kama wafanyikazi, vingine havijakuwa sawa. Kwa mfano, migomo ya madaktari, kila wakati tulisema tuwe na constitutional commission ili madaktari wakae hospitali kuangalia watoto wetu. Mambo ya SRC na madoyas wako hapa, profesa nilikuwa mwenyekiti mdogo wa steering committee. Unajua hii kitu inaitwa SRC, it contradicts the ILO convention number 87 and number 98 on free collective bargaining. And Kenya is a signatory to that convention, and the ILO domesticated it here. It is reflected in Article 41 of our current constitution. Kwa hivyo hiyo ni kitu ya kutolewa kwa ajili mshahara wako ni kati yako na mwajiri wako. Hiyo tutaangalia. Jambo lingine sisi tulikuwa tumeuliza, ilikuwa ni mambo ya special seats for special interests. We need to have a constituency. Brothers Osion don't need to go through ODM to represent workers in parliament. We need to have our own constituents as workers, and at our governing council we elect our representative to represent us in parliament. Not through political parties, not through my party can. But hizo tutaangalia wakati wanatengeneza constitutional amendment bill. Kama haiwezekani, jambo kubwa liliangaliwa, mambo ya all inclusiveness. Watu wamesema, Mama Pendo amesema hapa, nikatoa machozi. Wakati shida inapotokea, sisi wafanyikazi tuko katika miji mikubwa, ni watoto wa mama na wafanyikazi ndio wanapata shida. Wengi wakubwa wenzangu wanatoroka. Na katika nchi hii, na mimi najua tukufu rais ndugu yako Raila Amolo Odinga ni mmoja wao wale wa Kenya, and I should say he's the only one maybe after the late Matiba, ambao wanaweza kupeana holiday outside government gazetted holiday. Kwa hiyo ndugu yako mheshimiwa tukufu rais akitangaza tu hapa saa hii watu wasiende kazini na waende Uhuru Park, hataki facilitation money, hataki campaign, that place will be full. Na wakati kazi inapofungwa, sisi mtukufu rais ndio tunaumiana, ndio kwa sababu tunaunga handshake mkono. And I want to support Bishop. Politicians, a politician ambaye anaona mbali na ile anatakia watu wake mazuri. Please, sisi 2022 ni mbali. Njaa iko sasa. Na mimi nataka kuambia hivi, na msikie, na hii ni ya mwisho, nipe dakika moja, I'm an elder and there is no another elder in this Republic of Kenya. When we were growing, tulikuwa na polytechnics. Kazi ya hizi polytechnics ilikuwa ni kufundisha tailoring, mason and what have motor mechanics. Wale makanika wa siku hizo, mechanics wa siku hizo ambao walijifunza hiyo kazi, ukiwapatia gari la sasa ambalo na automatic, computerized, hawawezi kuendesha. When I was growing, I was trained as a telephone technician. Simu za kisasa siwezi kutengeneza. People are talking of digital economy, blue economy, smart economy. Tusielekeze watoto wetu kwa mambo ya zamani. The world is changing fast and we need. Na tunapeleka watoto kwa shule, na unataka mtoto yako akitoka kwa shule afunge tai. Yes. Rais, hii document nataka kuambia pamoja ukiwa na ndugu yako, musitishwe. Leteni tuende kwa referendum. We are the majority. We are the people. We are there. We will get it. Usubuhi saina itakuwa imepita. Musitishwe. Kenyans wasitishwe. Tunataka amani. My shop steward 2008 January in Naivasha alikufa akiongea na mimi because of tribal clashes. We don't want to go there. Na tusitishwe sisi. Tusitishwe.
Asante sana. Naomba Mheshimiwa Rais, kwa ruhusa yako niwaite sasa Reverend Dr. Samuel Kobia wa NCIC na Bwana Degwa Wahome aliye mwenyekiti wa County Assemblies Forum.
Your Excellency, the President, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, Your Excellency, I want to wish you a happy birthday, and may God continue to richly bless you with good health now and in the days coming. I am thankful for the opportunity to speak during such an important milestone in our collective quest to refine the way society is organized and governed. Building a just, peaceful, and cohesive society is an indispensable pillar of this quest. And given that most of the issues in the Building Bridges agenda touch directly or indirectly on our mandate, we as the National Cohesion and Integration Commission have maintained a keen interest in the BBI process. After all, we are the ones who will be expected to spearhead the implementation of a good number of its recommendations in the days and years ahead. Your Excellency, we all recall the highly polarized and tense state of our nation prior to the handshake. But since then, peace and tranquility has prevailed, and the Kenyans have been able to integrate freely across the Republic, which also has enhanced integration. It is against this backdrop that we should look at today's launch of the BBI report. The BBI report is being launched at a time when we are grappling with the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has exposed our class, ethnic, and regional inequalities that have long driven political polarization and fanned conflict in our country. The pandemic has also amplified fragilities in our health and education systems. The BBI recommendations should therefore act as a stimulus to invest in systems to promote prosperity for all, ones that will build.
I want just to say that war drums start beating early before the actual war. And Your Excellency the President, the handshake was never in vain. Let the handshake never be in vain. It's a place where we started. I have seen, Your Excellency, war drums beginning to beat. I hear from afar. I have a sense of that. I want to ask politicians that let the BBI be the place of healing. If you want to ask for votes, please, for goodness sake, use another method. Don't use a method. Don't use a method that divides us into us versus them. It is my plea, Your Excellency, for all the leaders seated there with you. Please, let's find a method that does not create the poor and the rich. And it's on that account, Your Excellency, that I just say, I pray. Because there are no poor that belongs to any of us. There are no rich that belong to any of us. If you split the poor, they will fight. If you split the rich, they will fight. And so we just want us to begin a new phase of our political life. And this document, we support it. I ask those who have issues, will get around to look at it properly. But may God help Kenya. Never again shall we have conflicts associated with elections. God bless Kenya. God bless.
Your Excellency, the President, Your Excellencies, the Deputy President, and the former Prime Minister, let me also recognize in a special way the presence today of our speakers of Parliament. Distinguished leaders and Kenyans, because the whole of Kenya is here. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been listening to the cries of Kenyans. We've heard the aspirations of Kenyans and the hopes that Kenyans have. And all these have been contained in this document and indeed in a series of other documents. But the ultimate burden of actualizing that dream and that vision is being placed on the shoulders of 349 members of Parliament in the National Assembly and another 67 in the Senate to deliver. So at this point, may I ask the members of the Senate and the members of the National Assembly who are here today to represent all those who could not, to please stand up for recognition by this group of Kenyans. Thank you. The reason I asked them to stand is because we have less than
2 years to the next elections. So at least their term of office is guaranteed for that period to deliver on a whole myriad of legislation, constitutional amendments, in addition to what is already in the pipeline. They need your prayers.
Excellency Mwai Kibaki, our current President Uhuru Kenyatta, and the Right Honorable.
If the debt consumes too much of our resources, we shall again fail to serve the counties. That is critical. Finally, Your Excellency, I just wish to say that you have a mammoth task, we have a mammoth task. The 2010 Constitution, when it got to the referendum, it had a 67% acceptance across the country. That was the referendum statistics. I want to beseech Kenyans that let us work together. Let us look at this document together so that when we get to the level of the referendum, we should only better that percentage of 67% to higher. That will be so good because it will then be building the consensus we want for the Constitution. Your Excellency, the Constitution is not like the 10 Commandments. We cannot amend the 10 Commandments, but we can amend the Constitution. We can also improve the gray areas around the BBI so that that high percentage comes on board. And it is on this basis that I revisit the Kisii address by His Excellency the President, that we must build consensus. He emphasized that in his speech, so that by the time we are reaching the plebiscite, we shall have developed very broad consensus. Kenya is ours. We must all protect it. This initiative is excellent. It is not work that can be taken lightly. So we support it. We'll work to support it, and we'll work to improve it. God bless all Kenyans, and God bless the souls of all those who have sacrificed or have lost their lives in the quest for a better Kenya. Thank you so much.
Mheshimiwa Rais, fellow Kenyans, I join others in wishing you a very happy birthday. And I want to take it up from where my friend Bishop Ogide left it. He once got me into a lot of trouble when I attended his inauguration as a Bishop of Sitam. He did refer to Psalms 133, I beg your pardon. It's just three stanzas, 3 verses. And it's actually a song by David. Jehovah, just a minute. This song by David starts by saying, "Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious oil upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that came down upon the skirt of his garments, like the dew of Hermon that cometh down upon the mountains of Zion. For there Jehovah commanded the blessing, even life evermore." I think this is a moment for us Kenyans to reflect on this. And Mr. President, for once, I think we have a God-given opportunity, even as we prepare to take this country to a referendum, to have a non-contested referendum. Those are precisely the words that I used when I attended the inauguration of Bishop Ogede. When I said that time, let us listen to what the church is saying so that we can build the consensus. I have read and I have traveled, and the most recent interesting reading I've come across is that of some of us who think that this is another trick. As my brother Chamasha Mashinane said, he did not find any mischief in this document. But there are those who are reading mischief. Unfortunately, let us also bring them on board. For instance, they think that this whole thing is aimed at creating and expanding the structure of the executive to the detriment of everything else. But you have heard here the Kenyans in a celebratory mood because devolution is the biggest gainer of this whole thing. 35% to the counties. Recently, Your Excellency, you recall the very tough discussion in the Senate when senators could not even agree on the formula. Now everything looks straight. And I want to urge here that we get into this norm of believing that every Kenyan is important. Every Kenyan. Those on four-wheel cars and those even on one wheel. Every Kenyan matters. Every Kenyan matters. And therefore nobody should read mischief where there is none. Governors, when you get this money, I plead for the love of this country. Please let us adhere to the provisions of Chapter 6 of the Constitution. I know that there are ward representatives who may not agree with some of the governors, and then they have been denied development assistance. Now, it was Wiper Democratic Movement's position that this 2%, that ward development fund be included as a constitutional amendment. And this we're very proud of as Wiper because it was listened, we are listened to, we are listed in that document as one of the parties that made this presentation. Because we believe in devolution. Let us deepen it and of course avoid the stealing. What one ambassador once said, Kenyans, we steal and we vomit on their shoes. We have an opportunity to grow our own economy and not vomit on each other, but grow this economy. Mr. President, I want to be very brief today. And I say that we have read this document. We cannot be in a reading mood all the time. It's not a very big document. We have read it. What happens next, in my view, Mr. President, is that the bills that have already been drafted, and there are several of them, drafted, let then the whole concept, which is enshrined in Constitution 2010, take root. Participation, public participation with regard to each of those bills that has been drafted subsequent upon this report. So the report then can have some hands and feet to stand on. And the country then can prepare for the next very important thing. So we have read, let us not kid ourselves. People cannot read forever. Iko kwa mtandao, it has been read, and I think it is a time to move on and support this change, which is important. And while you are doing it, avoid radicalizing this country. You see, there are very many types of terrorism. If you start a class war, what are you doing to your own country in the name of wanting to get elected? This is not good. I've just come, Your Excellency, from a visit to Mount Kenya region, and beautiful Thompson Falls, compared to the famous Bomas of Kenya thing. It's amazing. Beautiful territory, beautiful country. But then we radicalize the youth, so they look at you. A youth looked at me and said, Kalonzo, we welcome you. Karibu sana. At least somebody has brought us a wheelbarrow. What have you brought us? Even I'm saying the wheelbarrows are important to this country. It is important. Therefore, let us embrace this possibility, God-given opportunity to have a non-contested referendum so that there will be no wheelbarrows and there will be no
other types of Kenyans. Class war, dangerous. Finally, Mr. President, a learned junior whom I celebrate put you into a very tricky situation. And even as we think of appealing to my brother Raila to stop the reggae and William to stop the wheelbarrow story, I love this Jerusalem song, that dance. But then, Mugithi may even be better, so that we all follow in a Kenyan song where we come together. Don't fall into the trap, Mr. President, on your birthday that was given by my learned junior student of law at the University of Nairobi, taking you very seriously on what you said in Kisumu.
Tupongeze kwaya yetu kwa wimbo maridadi Amani, wimbo ambao unaturai sote kuwa mabalozi wa amani, na langu jukumu na wewe ni kudumisha amani. Wimbo wao wa mwisho, Mwachie Yesu. Wanapojiandaa kutupa wimbo Mwachie Yesu, ni kuhimiza wageni wote wanapozidi kuingia, tafadhali, kuna nafasi ambazo zimeachwa wazi kwa ajili ya wanenaji, mkono wangu wa kulia, wa kushoto kunradi. If you are not a speaker and you are seated at the front seats ambazo ziko labeled na majina ya watu binafsi, utatuia radhi tafadhali.
2 days ago, we lost a very strong, patriotic Kenyan who has done a lot, and with whom I had just spoken 3 days ago. 4 days before he died.
Fellow Kenyans,
about the Constitution, and he said, "This
ladies
is
and gentlemen,
Zamba Kitonga."
Let me
I think
begin
it would be amiss if we
wishing each and every one of you a happy Mashujaa Day.
Those remembering Zamba Kitonga.
Let me also, at the very onset,
I'm asking that in memory of Zamba Kitonga, we observe 1 minute silence
for the warm reception that we have received here in Kisii. To celebrate the cultural diversity of Kenya and to strengthen our nationhood, I made the decision to hold our national celebrations in the counties on a rotational basis. Today, Kisii joins the counties of Nakuru,
passed away, he
Nyeri,
had a conversation
Machakos,
and said that this was still work in
Meru,
progress.
Kakamega,
In 2004,
Narok,
we were in this hall, Your Excellency.
and Mombasa,
I was delegate number
played host
155
to a national
Niko nakaa
celebration.
pale juu.
And indeed, in the near
So one
future,
day, as the delegates were gathered
we
here,
shall announce
and we were
where,
talking about
where next
devolution.
year's Madaraka Day
And one
will be
of
hosted.
the delegates, the
So,
late
fellow Kenyans, we gather
Dr.
here
Odhiambo Mbai,
to
stood somewhere
celebrate
that
68 years of history
and spoke for
and
about
heroism
10
as
minutes
a
about
country.
devolution. By the time he finished,
We are well aware, indeed, as
everybody
the
said
former
that
Prime Minister
gentleman should be the
mentioned,
chairman of the devolution committee.
the Abagusi community is
And he
also
was
not
appointed
short
to chair the
of
devolution
heroes.
committee.
In their senior
Unfortunately,
ranks,
he did not leave.
there are those that have
see
been
through
mentioned by the
because
Prime
he was
Minister.
shot and killed in cold
You
blood.
will also encounter senior chiefs.
Remember him?
Angwenyi
Because
Gishana,
going forward,
Osongo Agwenyi,
proper
Oga Agwenyi,
remembrance of
Zakaria
Dr.
Agwenyi,
Obiang
Musa Nyandusi,
Your Excellency,
and many
that same
others.
year, we
The
gathered
makers of the
here
Kenyan nation at
as we were in the
independence
final stages
also
of
tapped into
completing
the abilities of your sons and
the
daughters,
document.
heralding the birth
And
of a strong and vibrant nation
walked away from us.
whose story cannot be complete
They went away because they did not
without the
agree
mention of
with some of the provisions that constitution.
Lawrence Sagini,
That was
James
the claim
Nyamweya,
cause of. Then they went to court
Zachary
and
Onyonka,
stopped us.
amongst
Then
others.
this Kilifi which came.
And thereafter,
Eventually,
following
Wako,
in the steps of the
and that's what
independence
created
of
bananas
Abagusi heroes,
and indices.
many others heeded the call to serve the public arena, with some rising to high
Bananas and
echelons of
chungwa.
public service as high-standing
But then,
cabinet
Your
ministers,
Excellency, I'm just why am I saying
formidable
this? I'm saying this to
legislators,
say that
influential
it's been a
judicial
journey.
figures, amongst them
After the
being George
2005,
Museti Anyona,
came 2007,
Simeon
and
Nyachai,
2008.
Justice
And 2008 when we
Nyarangi,
now ended up with
just to mention
and that's
a
when we
few.
now ended up with the agenda for Kofi Annan agenda.
So, ladies
for.
and gentlemen, on this day, in 1952,
now created to 2010.
the state of emergency.
It was those who have spoken before have said 2010 constitution was a ceasefire. It was still a work in progress. It was still a work in progress. Every country moved through this kind of every country process. Moved through this kind of process. When we had finished here, we had a three-tier structure of government. The region, the local, and the national. The region and the national. The region was scrapped. At Naivasha, the region was scrapped. The counties. We ended up now with the counties, the two-tier county, the national and the county. So, Excellency, this is an issue that can be could be revisited at some other time. But right now we have this. But then, Your Excellency, when we sat together, we agreed that it was time to look at some of the issues ailing our country. Because in spite of having passed this constitution, which has been hailed all over the world as one of the most democratic constitutions, still we have a problem as a people. So what is it that is missing that needs to be fixed so that Kenyans can march on as a people who are proud and who are happy? That was the essence of that conversation that we had. And after we talked, we put up this team together and tasked them to go around the country and collect views of our people. And then they came up with this proposal, which we brought here last year. And from here, we started now a new journey. Validation, as the chairman said. We went first to Kisii for the Nyanza region. And the Bagusi, the Luos, the Koreans spoke in Kisii. Then we went to Ingo, Kakamega. Those people also spoke. We went to Mombasa. We went to Kitui. We went to Narok, to Garissa. Eventually, we went to the mountain, to Meru. But we were unable to go to Nakuru for reasons which have been explained. So this document is as a result of very extensive consultation with the people of Kenya. The proposals which have been made here. But as other people have said, it is still work in progress. We need to be, and we have said it must be inclusive. Everybody needs to be involved. Your Excellency, as the Bible says, Isaiah 1, chapter 18. Come now, let us reason together. Then the Quran says in Surah 39, Ayah 18, those who listen to all statements and then follow the best of it, these are the ones whom Allah has guided, and these are the ones possessed of minds. So we are saying, come and let us reason together as a people of Kenya. Let us talk together, and let us not talk at each other, but let us talk to each other. Because Kenya is bigger than all of us. And we, with President Uhuru Kenyatta, when we talked, we said we want to bequeath a better society for the coming generation of our country. It is not about making Uhuru Kenyatta a prime minister or Raila Odinga a president. And Raila Odinga has never declared, and I want to tell the Standard newspaper, anyway, that he wants to run for presidency in 2022. That is not why we brought this. We brought this because we have seen that there are problems in our country. And these problems must be solved by the people of Kenya themselves. The founding fathers of our nation wanted a united nation. Well, that's why they said that God bless this land of ours. Justice be our shield and defender. May we dwell in unity, peace, and liberty. Plenty be found within our borders. That plenty was not going to drop like manna from heaven. It was going to be as a result of the sweat and the toil of our people. So we must give Kenyans opportunity to create that wealth. And this is what we are talking about, empowering the youth so that the youth can be able to create wealth. Wealth must be created by our people. That's when we are going to have plenty within our country. That every child born in our country has equal opportunity to be able to realize his or her potential from the cradle to the grave. That no Kenyan will sleep without food. That each and every Kenyan, when they are sick, will be able to get treatment, irrespective of whether they have money or no money. This is the kind of society that we want to create. An equal society where everybody has an opportunity. Not a polarized society. The haves and the have-nots. The low have downtrodden and the up there. We don't want a proletarian revolution. And proletarian revolutions have never been led by the bourgeois. We want to have an equal society where people work together and people love each other. And that's why we are proposing a new ethos of Utu. 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 Kila moja ni ndugu. Vile Mwalimu Nyerere alifanya kule Tanzania. Watanzania hawaulizi mtu wewe ni kabila gani. Anauliza wewe unatoka jimbo gani. Ukimuuliza Tanzania wewe ni kabila gani, atasema wewe ni Mkenya. Hapa Tanzania hatuulizi kabila. Sisi ni kabila moja, ni Watanzania. Hata Wakenya tuseme sisi zote ni Wakenya. Usiniambie mimi wewe ni Mkisii au wewe ni Mkale au wewe ni Mgiriama au wewe ni Mkikuyu au wewe ni Jango. Sema wewe ni Mkenya. I'm proud to be a Kenyan. I'm proud to be a Kenyan. This is the kind of thing that we want to do. And that's why we created this, me and my brother Uhuru Kenyatta. And we agreed that we will bring this to the people of Kenya. And we want an uncontested referendum. We don't want wengine wanakwenda sisi tunasema la, No, let's bring it here. The disabled have spoken and they've been heard. Wakina mama wameongea na wamesikizwa. Vijana, kila mtu ameongea na tutasikizwa. See, do we want this to be a unifying process, uniting the people of Kenya? Once that is done, Kenyans will decide who is going to be a leader in 2022. We don't want to talk about 2022 now. We are talking about Kenya of today. The Jubilee government and the leaders are here have their 4-point agenda. Wamalize hiyo kwanza. Hapana ambia sisi vile mtafanya 2022. Sasa hivi fanyeni hiyo sasa malize kwanza. Sisi wako pamoja, wako pair. Wako pair. Wewe umekuwa na bibi, umezaa mtoto, unaona mtoto amekuwa ni kichaa. Sasa wewe unasema hiyo si mtoto yangu. BBI, sema kwa Kenya moja. BBI. 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 Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto, ongea na Wakenya.
Mheshimiwa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, Mheshimiwa Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga, Waziri Mkuu wetu wa zamani, waheshimiwa manaibu wa rais wa zamani, Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka na Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi, Your Excellencies, High Commissioners and Ambassadors, maspika wetu wa bunge la Senate na bunge la kitaifa, viongozi wote, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First, I want to say that I hope, Mheshimiwa Raila, you are not referring to me as a bourgeois. But I want to agree with you. I want to agree with you that we have a mischievous media sometimes, not all the times. On a day as important as this, when you have a headline saying Raila Odinga says he's going to run in 2022, they are trying to reduce this occasion to a matter of 2022. But we have all agreed that it is not. But on the same media, the same headline, they have said that William Ruto is coming to meet demons at Bomas. Now, I am asking myself whether there are any demons in Bomas. Or better still, maybe I can ask them, Olisikia wapi, that there are demons in Bomas. But having said that, Your Excellency, this is a very important moment in our history. Important because you have persuaded us that the making of a constitution is always work in progress, and that we must strive progressively to have a negotiated constitutional settlement, or to arrive at a place where we are all working together, building consensus. And I share fully with those sentiments. I know even as we are having this meeting and this launch of this report of the Building Bridges initiative, Your Excellency, you have persuaded us that this is a moment to look at our Constitution and to find progressive amendments to our Constitution. There are those who believe, yes, it's a constitutional moment, but to progressively implement the 2010 Constitution. Civil society and others think so. There are those who believe that maybe this is a moment to discuss the ravages of COVID and the reality of our economic status, especially the majority, 40% odd people of our country who live below the poverty line, and the 16 million or so young people who are unemployed. All this, Your Excellency, as you have said, and as the former Prime Minister said here, this is a process where we can bring all our views together and listen to one another. And no idea is more superior or less superior to the other. Let me say we have a civic duty, all of us as Kenyans, to engage in this process. We do not have the luxury to say, I don't care. We do not have the luxury to walk away. In any case, it is said that the punishment given to good people who don't participate in the politics and governance of their country, the punishment given to them is to be ruled by fools. I don't think any one of us here wants to be ruled by fools. That's why we must participate in this process. And it's our civic duty to do so. The BBI process has given us a raft of proposals for us to see, to interrogate, to improve. You did tell us, Your Excellency, that we're all free to improve on this process. And the many proposals that have been put, especially that were outlined here by Adam Solo on administrative issues, on legislative issues, I believe that since we have a forum where in Parliament and in government, where we can discuss the policy, the administrative, and the legal issues in Parliament, that can be interrogated in that process. Many of those issues that are administrative and that are legislative are issues mainly to do with our youth, mainly to do with how to do business, how to grow our economy. And Your Excellency, I want to say that these are very important issues. And in any case, I would add that from that list, especially on matters to do with young people, how we can assist them with Higher Education Loans Board and give them a moratorium, how they can start business, it must not be lost on us that the real problem, the bottom The real problem is that these young people are jobless. That is the real cause of all this. And that is the discussion we must have. That is the discussion we must have. Having said that, Your Excellency, there are, in my opinion, gaps. The single most important sector that drives our economy, contributing 25% directly to our GDP, and through manufacturing another 24%, and which employs almost 65% of all people in Kenya, is the agricultural sector. I dare say, Your Excellency, that this is an area that, again, we must find a mechanism of having a conversation, especially the farming community, and matters to do with productivity, matters to do with proposals that were made on guaranteed minimum returns for our farmers, our wheat farmers, our sugarcane farmers, our coffee farmers, our tea farmers, our dairy sector, the pastoralist corner. Your Excellency, it is my humble submission that that is an area that we can improve this document on. I have heard many speakers say they have finished reading and we should move on. We are not all at the same level when it comes to reading. Scientists like myself, we take a bit long because we interrogate things and we want experiments and we do many things. So I would plead with the first learners like Alonzo Musyoka to bear with us just a bit so that we can all move together. And I agree with Kalonzo Musyoka that we should try and have a non-contested referendum if we will end up there. But, Your Excellency, let me just say 2 or 3 things before I conclude. On the matter of the judiciary, allow me to say there is huge space for us to have an improvement on the proposal that has been made. Access to justice is one of the biggest challenges that we had, and that is why the 2010 Constitution was promulgated. As we talk today, the judiciary, as per the requirements of the law, there should be a high court in every county. As we talk today, there are counties, almost 5 counties, that do not have a high court, and many Kenyans have to travel far to look for justice. As we talk today, though the law provides that there must be a court at least in every sub-county, there are 160 counties that do not have a court at all. And the problem is that the budget for the judiciary, we need to operationalize the judiciary fund that is already in the Constitution, so that the judiciary can establish more courts and the judiciary can hire more judges and more staff so that Kenyans can have access to justice. The recommendation that has been made to have an ombudsman appointed by the executive into the judiciary, in my respectful submission, is a derogation from the independence of the judiciary. And we must be careful. We must be careful about the independence of institutions. We are coming from a history where judges received telephone calls, where courts were held at night. We do not want to go there. On the matter of IEBC, let me say, on the matter of IEBC, the recommendations that I have read say that political parties participate in the appointment of commissioners to IEBC. My brother Raila Odinga is good at football. So let me try to ask, how fair will be a league where the referee is appointed by teams? And not all the teams, some teams. How fair will this league be? If you persuade me that you will end up with a fair game, fine. That's what I'm saying. So if you tell me it is okay for some players, for some teams, not all the teams participating, to appoint the referee, if that's what we are saying, I have my reservations. And I need to be persuaded, like many other Kenyans, that that is fair. On the third issue, you have had me, I have had you. And I think that is good progress. It's good progress. You've had me, and I have had you. You think it's fair? I have a different opinion. Maybe we will find a meeting ground somewhere. The third issue, the third issue, Your Excellency, is the independence of our police force. The 2010 Constitution was very clear that the police must act independently of any politicians, whether they are in government or in the opposition. To recommend that we will have a police council chaired by a CS is actually a derogation from the independence of the police. And I want to ask you, we must be careful on where we are going. Today, you may have the latitude to do what you think will be right as per you. Tomorrow, the shoe will be on the other leg. On matters to do with devolution, I agree that the increase to 35% is progressive, and that we must devolve more resources to counties. But accompanying the increase of resources to 35%, we must also ensure that the Senate has the necessary constitutional power to ensure that those resources are available and they are used properly. To recommend that the Senate cannot continue to have the constitutional mandate to discuss the division of revenue is actually a downgrade of the Senate. In my respectful submission, with additional resources and with some members of parliament now being members of the executive because of the appointment of some members of parliament as members of the executive, in fact, the recommendation should not be a downgrade of the Senate, it should be an upgrade of the Senate to the upper house. And in any case, so that I conclude, in any case, we are now saying women and the participation of women in our governance doesn't make us weaker, it makes us stronger. It doesn't make us lesser, it makes us greater. if we are saying in the proposal that women now go to the Senate, and you are saying that when women go to the Senate, they are going to a Senate which has been downgraded, which has no responsibility on matters of resource allocation. Are you enhancing the participation of women, or are you downgrading the participation of women? I mean, we are having a frank and honest conversation, good people, and it's good for us to listen to one another. So if we are saying women who today are sitting in the National Assembly, where resources are being discussed, if we take them from the forum where resources are being discussed and take them to a downgraded Senate, we are making the participation of women nominal. The participation of women should be substantive, in my respectful submission. And finally, Your Excellency, I know my brother Bishop Oginde has said there are hustlers here and they should stop the hustling, and there are the reggae people and they should stop the reggae. I don't know about the reggae. Maybe I can talk about the hustlers. But let me say the following. The real elephant in this whole conversation is what was identified as the winner take all and the inclusivity question. Now, Professor Adam Solo, I have confessed I'm a scientist and I'm a bit slow. I want you to explain to me in this proposal. You have said that in this proposal, we will have the president with his running mate, deputy president. They will win, or we have candidates, they will win an election, and then the president will appoint the prime minister and the two deputies from the winning coalition. And then we will have the runner-up being the leader of opposition. Now, no problem, it doesn't matter who it is. I have no problem. You know, let us not personalize, there is no problem. Now, the question I am asking myself, have we sorted out the winner take all question? Oh, is that so? So, the president from his side, like for example here, President Uhuru Kenyatta, I am here, Kimunya is the prime minister because he's the leader of majority. We have Jimmy Angwenyi, who is our deputy, as a deputy prime minister, and maybe Maoka Maore as one of the deputies. So, what happens to the whole NASA brigade, together with Musalia and all these other people? I mean, and I am not saying anything. I'm just saying, I want to be persuaded, and forgive me if I am slow. Forgive me. There are so many Kenyans who are in my category. Are we together? Finally, on this inclusivity question, it is my humble submission that as we discuss inclusivity around us, the leaders, we must have a candid, open discussion on inclusivity about the millions of Kenyans locked out by poverty and unemployment. We must discuss how they are going to be part of the Kenyan society. That discussion we must have. And I want to thank the young man, very good, and the bright, intelligent young man from Kitale, because he said that we should not bring 16th century technology. And I am sure he was referring to the wheelbarrow. And possibly he was referring to me and this wheelbarrow. Sindio? Good. Now, the question I want to ask us, how come in the 21st century, a 16th century tool called the wheelbarrow, millions of citizens in the 21st century are still dependent on the wheelbarrow and mokokoteni? That is the discussion we need to have. Yes. That is the discussion we need to have. And that discussion is a discussion that involves millions of Kenyans. Millions of Kenyans. Let me then say, as I conclude, that the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, I am finishing. You know, I speak for millions of hustlers, so just give me a minute. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, Bishop Oginde said that the hustlers must stop the hustling. I have heard leaders here say that as we discuss this conversation, we must not have an us versus them. I have also heard leaders here say we must never have a conversation and a contest about the poor and the rich. We must never go there. And I believe we must never go there. But I want to remind you, good people, Abraham Lincoln, the 17th President of the United States of America, said, things may come to those who wait, but only things left by those who hustle. That is Abraham Lincoln. He was never talking about the rich and the poor. He was talking about the people who wake up early, the people who sleep late, the people who work hard, and that is the society we need to build. It is now my humble pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to ask His Excellency the President of Kenya to make his remarks, and thank you very much for listening to me. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana. Asante sana. Fellow leaders gathered at this historic constitutional place of Bomas, and it is historic because many a time, as has been said, we have gathered here to discuss constitutional issues. Mimi nawasalimia nyote na nawashukuru kwanza kwa risala za birthday siku ya leo, na nasema asante. Shukran. Thank you very much. So, thank you very much. So, before I begin, I would like to take this opportunity, as much as indeed they have been recognized, to recognize the Committee of Elders who, for the last 2 years, as we were told, have taken their time and indeed in many instances their resources to travel around this country together with their secretariat and their technical teams to put together first the document that they presented to us here last year, and now this revised version where they have now gone with greater editing to the point of even giving us now proposed clauses for our consideration. And I would like to recognize Senator Yusuf Haji, who was the chair, who is unfortunately not well today. To recognize Professor Adam Zolo, the vice chair. To recognize Senator Amos Wako. To recognize Dr. Florence Omusa, to recognize also Mr. James Matundura, to recognize Bishop Lawi Imadio, to recognize also Professor Morpe Ole Ronke, yes. To recognize Rose Museo, to recognize Mrs. Agnes Karindu Mudhama, to recognize also Professor Said Mwaguni, to recognize Major John Sei, to recognize also Honorable Maison Leshomo, to recognize Bishop Peter Jenga, and finally to recognize Archbishop Zacchaeus Okoth, retired, plus your entire secretariat. I thought it important for Kenyans to know the men and women who have guided us through this process to where we are today. Let me say that today we have before us a document that has been worked on, and again, I repeat, for a period now of 2 years. And a document whose objective is really nothing more than to find what ails our country and hopefully give us a solution that will heal our country. I want to also recognize at this moment my brother Raila Odinga. And I have a reason to. Because as many of you know, we were competitors in 2017. And as such, things got to a very difficult level. Indeed, as Bishop Oginde here has said, and as many others will bear witness,
But when we sat down to speak, something that was very difficult for him, but also for me and my team, very difficult. But when we got through to it, and we spoke again, and we spoke again, we agreed that we're not here to share positions, and we should put our various positions aside. And we agreed that we were coming together with one common agenda, the agenda of ensuring that what the people of Kenya have witnessed in 1992, in 1997, in 2005, in 2007, in 2017, Kenyans shall never, ever witness again. We did not talk about sharing government, and as we stand today, he is not in government. He is not in government. He never made any demands for government. He never made any demand for a share of government. He said that let us get together and let us fix that which ails us that will allow us in future to be able to compete without the need for innocent Kenyan blood to be shed. I want to thank you for that, Raila, from the bottom of my heart, because you didn't have to do it. I also want to thank my deputy president, because all in all, along that path, I kept him abreast of what was going on. He was part and parcel. It's the truth, I'm not lying. Ask him, he's here. He was part and parcel. In fact, he helped me identify some of the wazays I just mentioned here. Yeah. And the purpose, as I had told him, and as we agreed with Raila, was never to talk about what shall happen tomorrow in terms of our elective posts, but I said it was an extension of what I and you did in 2013. So that we can bring all of us on board and have a situation where no Kenyan is left behind. Okay? No Kenyan. And I said I would use today as a day to say my thanks and to put things also in context. Because I hope and pray that from here we shall focus ourselves on the issue at hand. And the issue at hand is how to ensure unity in our diversity. There are issues, fellow Kenyans,
that we consistently shy away from addressing because we don't want to address certain things. We don't want to own up to certain things. But the fact of the matter is that we are a tribal society. We want to get away from it, but that's what we are. And this is what divides us, because we pretend we are national leaders. But when the time comes, we switch to vernacular and we become what we are. And these are facts. Tusidanganyane. Na kila mtu anasema ile watu wako namna hii sijui, na wale wako hivi, na wale wako vile, na wale wako hivi. I will also admit today that I've also been part and parcel of that negative politics. Yeah. So I'm not blaming, I'm not saying this because I'm pointing fingers at anybody. I am just saying we have all been part of this mess. We have all been part of it. But we never want to talk about it. We all pretend how great and how national leaders we are. All right? And that is why we must address ourselves to this issue of inclusivity. Because if we are going to remove this kasumba that has disturbed us, we must deal with this issue of inclusivity so that every single community and section of this country feels that they are part and parcel of this great nation. And you know, we started pole addressing ourselves to that issue even in 2010 by bringing on devolution and ensuring now resources were going kule mashinani. But there were still elements that were left. Elements that made people feel that they were left out of national government. So the issue of inclusivity is critical and was critical. And we said with my friend here, we must address ourselves to that issue so that future generations will be able to address themselves as Kenyans. Lakini nyinyi msitudanganye hapa ukabila umejaa. Na ni vizuri, unajua mtu asiposema ukweli tunaficha kule, but then we never address it. And that's why I'm saying I want to thank these gentlemen because they are trying to address themselves to those issues. Because until we do, our politics will consistently be negative. And we want to change that cycle so that our politics can be positive driven. Positive that we are winners when we are together. That is the direction that we wish to move ourselves in. The second big problem we have is our young people. Again, let us not cheat ourselves. It is our young people. We have a youth bulge that, if not properly handled, can be a time bomb that can blow this country to pieces. And the handling of that has to be done extremely carefully. Extremely carefully. That is not a problem of this community or that. It affects us all. But how we manage it, we must manage it very carefully. We cannot manage it through inciting them. All right? If we are to deal with our youth problem, we must deal with our economy. And there is no country in the world that has ever developed on a 5-year cycle of politics. You can never develop on a 5-year cycle.
And if you cannot develop your economy, how do you create the jobs? If every cycle you spend one whole year, and in this case, in our case, it's 2 years, before the election campaigning, then you spend another 2 years after the election campaign trying to sort out the political mess, umebaki na mwaka moja ya kufanya kazi. Uchumi kweli tutapanua? Wenzangu, vijana kweli tutawapatia kazi? Yeah? Na ndipo niliwaambia juzi wakati tulikuwa tumeenda kuanzisha mradi wa hawa vijana, na nikawaambia, my friends, be very careful. It is very exciting and it is very sweet. But we must stop this culture of use and dispose of our young people, and instead develop and deepen a process, which again I want to thank these gracious men and women, because they have looked into those issues, of how we can systematically and in a very clear and thought out manner enable our young people, who are our future, to be a productive part of Kenyan society. And nobody can do that. I can't do it alone. We must be together, and we must engage in that conversation together. Tunaelewana wenzangu? And I strongly believe if we just deal with those two issues, and I know there are many other issues dealing with women, dealing with handicapped, and I don't want to get into them. Kwa sababu tumesoma na tumesema tutakuwa na dialogue. Lakini mimi ombi langu kwenu nyinyi ni wakati tunasoma, let us focus ourselves on dealing with those two very critical issues that will guarantee the peace, the stability, and the ultimate prosperity of our nation. And let us not entertain the side shows, because there are too many side shows that are detracting us from where we want to go, that are stopping this country from being that great country that our forefathers saw it to be. And I believe that together we can achieve it. And I believe that together we can overcome this hurdle. And then those who are seeking elective positions, how wonderful it would be if you were seeking those elective positions in a unified country where it was ideas that are competing against each other, not ethnicity, not this, not this. It was a competition of ideas. How best can we get to where we are going? How best can we achieve for our people, for our children, for our children's children? And I believe here we have something. As I said in Kisii, I believe here we have something that can begin us in that process. And rather than fight over the many things that we will either agree or disagree on, please, on this one, let us agree. Let us agree and fix it. Mimi hiyo ndio ombi langu kwenu nyinyi na kwa Wakenya wote. Na ndio nasema mimi nawaomba msome, kwa sababu like I said, kuna vipengele mingi. Na tumesikia hapa wengine wakaya mistaki ile hii iwe namna hii iwe namna hiyo. Ni sawa. That is the conversation that we must have. Si ndio? Because at the end of the day all we want to do is to see ourselves improve what has been done. But let us not be bogged down by those ones and fail to achieve this one. Because without this, hata hizo zingine zote ni za bure. Amani, wenzangu, amani na umoja wa taifa letu, na njia ile tutapambana na ukosefu wa kazi kwa vijana wetu. Na mambo haya hatutaweza kutimiza tusipokuja pamoja. Na ndipo mimi leo, vile mmesikia nikisema, namshukuru ndugu yangu Raila. Hakuja hapa kupambana na mimi, hakuja hapa kusema tugawe serikali. Na nikimshukuru, na mshukuru pamoja na viongozi wake wenzake wale walikuwa wanasa, Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka, Mheshimiwa Mudavadi, Mheshimiwa Wetangula, wote. Na nawashukuru. Na ndipo namshukuru hata sasa upande yetu ya Jubilee, namshukuru kwa sababu tulisonga pamoja. Hapa katikati ndio sasa 2022 ikaanza kuwa inapita. Akasahau yale mengine. Na ndio nasema watu tutulize ball, hiyo bado itakuja. Ama ni namna gani wenzangu? Tutulize ball, hiyo itakuja. Miaka hairudi nyuma. Nilikuwa naambia viongozi hawa wa Kisii siku nyingine walikuja kunitembelea. Race hii ni ile ya kuhandover, unajua? Si ndio? Inaitwa relay. Unakimbia ule mwingine anakugojea pale, anatakikana kukugojea ndio ashike aendelee, si ndio? Lakini sasa my brother William hapa amepinduka, anakimbia nyuma. Nasema mosmos, utafika tu. Jameni, tufanye shughuli hii muhimu kwa taifa, shughuli ambayo itatusaidia na itasaidia kuleta umoja na amani katika taifa letu. Tumesikia hapa wale ambao wametuongelesha hapa, wale ambao wamepoteza mali yao kule Molo. Wazazi wetu hapa walipoteza mtoto yao kwa sababu ya siasa. Vile mama Pendo ametuambia hapa, wacha hiyo iwe ya mwisho. Wacha hiyo iwe ya mwisho. Na tuweze kusonga pamoja. Na ndipo nasema sisi tutaendelea kujadiliana na viongozi wenzetu, na wauliza nyinyi muendelee kuongea at every level of government, at every level of society. Engage one another, talk to each other, and in a civilized manner bring your recommendations to our good friends. Improve on it if we can improve on it. As one of our colleagues here said, you know, a good idea always gives way to a better. So if there is a better one, bring it on board. Let us not overload ourselves. And let us push forward and bring peace to our country. Mimi sitaki kuzidi hapo, isipokuwa kuungana na yale ambaye pia former Prime Minister ametaja, ya kwamba sisi wote tuwatuma rambirambi kwa jamii ya Zamba Kitonga, shujaa wa taifa letu la Kenya, ambaye alitusaidia kuleta hiyo katiba ya 2010. Tuombe Mwenyezi Mungu amweke pahali pema, na tufuate sisi hivyo ambaye ametufundisha. Tutasaidiana. BBI hii itapita jameni, ama mnaonaje? Itapita jameni? Mutapitisha? Mutatusaidia kuelimisha Wakenya ni kwa nini tunataka kupitisha document hii? Mutatusaidia? Tutatembea pamoja. Nataka mimi kumalizia hapo, lakini niseme, masikia Kalonzo akiongea hapo ya kwamba sijui kuna marriage act. Lakini ile nilishika ni apogisho kuniambia kuna ukurasa Biblia ambaye inasema inawezekana. Nataka tukimaliza hapa utanionyesha ni chapter gani hiyo ndio niweze kusoma vizuri. Alafu tutaongea baadaye mami. Mungu awabariki, Mungu awalinde, asanteni sana.
Tusimame sote sasa kwa wimbo wa taifa. Sorry.